Mgtow, and this is the health and science broadcast, and I'd like to start by just sharing a few ideas about the health and science broadcast. Today we heard a very inspiring video by Spetsnaz, and he says women will never change unless they're forced to by self-preservation. The question for me is, man up. What do you do when you man up? You're going to man up. You're going to man out as a Mgtow. And yes, I'm going to man up, but it's not going to be what people want it to be. It's not going to be that traditional man up, get a job, pay into the plantation, and take care of the woman. I'm going to find the strength in myself to man up the way I want to man up, because I am a man. And like Barbarossa says, you know, men are the only gender on this planet that can change a corrupt government. I've said it 100 times before. I'm not asking permission anymore. And I'm not going to apologize for any harm that comes the government's way or the gynocentric's way from me manning up, because it's come to that point where my back's against the wall. I'll just say, I'm going to find the strength. I am that man. So what are we going to talk about today on the Health and Science broadcast? The broken man. The same thing we always talk about. The same issue that there's always in Mgtow. The broken man. Acquiescing or apathy. None of us like the apathy that's forced on the broken man. And this goes back to the man up, man out, rage out if you must. But find the courage sooner or later to not acquiesce to the gynocentric. What do you choose? And how can I help you find that strength? We've seen a new group come around, the Ibmore group, and I talked to the Oracle yesterday, and I found his passion, his strength, not to acquiesce to society. And it was a wonderful feeling. It shows the Mgtow strength. A lot of Mgtows have this strength not to acquiesce to society, finding courage, you know, getting into the fight. I wanted to bring up my heritage a little as an Irish American. I wanted to bring up Ibmore as a group of Black Americans, and I wanted to especially welcome Black Mgtows, two Mgtows, because we're all a group of men acting as men for men, and without the strength to find out what you can do and what you can change as an individual, you will never really find the strength in yourself to do what you need to change what you need to change in this society. Because like I said, women aren't going to change. The gynocentric is not going to change unless they're forced. And force doesn't mean violence, and force doesn't mean a lot of things. It simply means that there is issues. And simply, we talked about this a little, the idea that Mgtow was started so many years ago, and it seems like forever now. You know, pretty much we've been doing this for 8 years now, and it didn't fizzle out. It wasn't a rage out. It's becoming bigger. It's becoming broader. Ibmore, Black Mgtows, Indian Mgtows, Japanese herbivore men are just an indication of how big we are. And, you know, white Americans can have their groups. Nobody's asking permission anymore to do to have your group. And that's what I'd like to say about Ibmore. You don't need to ask my permission as a white American to have your group. Just do it, and I'm happy. I will help out when I can help out, and I will put effort into it, real effort. The real effort that I see is a... Oh, hello, Zeta.
Hang on 2 secs.
I was just giving the introduction to the broadcast.
Yeah. Are we live right now?
Yes, we're live right now.
Okay, hang on. I just got to mute for a second and kill the other one. Hang on.
Okay. group dynamics and finding out who you are and creating subgroups within Mgtow is important to Mgtow, and we all can appreciate that because it shows the size of Mgtow. Culture is important to us all, every one of us. Yes, even me, and I'm Irish. I like to be around people like me because it makes me happy, and I can see that with my brother, my Black American brother, or any brother that I have, Japanese, Indian. I Being around people like yourself just makes you happy because you can it reflects in you, and you can see things about yourself, and nobody needs to ask permission about being around groups and cultures like their self. And I think that's what we'll talk about a little today, about being around groups and cultures like yourself, being men, finding the strength to be men. What do you think, Zeta?
Yeah, I think this is what it's all about. I think what Mgtow is breaking down, is all about breaking down those barriers, exactly what you just said, Joe. And keeping in mind, being an online community, going out into the real world, we're global. Okay?
Yeah, we're global.
We've got different cultures, different languages, and that's the focus that I'm on, is the fact that this has happened. This is the first time something like to this extent in history has ever happened. Okay, where we have a technological means to reach out to everybody worldwide. So far what we have, we've got an ongoing dialogue within the English-speaking community globally, right? But I think you mentioned this yesterday, Joe, for example, reaching out to our Indian brothers in India because of the issues that they're having over there with bandwidth and all that, right? But there's a group that even myself, and I heard you mention that yesterday, Joe. This is a point of interest. I want to hear from our Indian brothers that are out there.
Yeah, there's large groups of Mgtows everywhere. We know about the grass-eating men and in Japan, the herbivore male. They're not, and we hear about them all the time. We hear about Mgtow all the time, but what we're not hearing about is the huge. What are they? $1 billion 2 or something like that in India, and Pakistan is $1 billion some off on.
It's huge over there. Huge population, untapped yet. And I would go to the extent with what's happening, just to keep an eye on it. And again, I'm speculating here, with what's going on in Japan right now with the herbivore man, what's happening in the surrounding Asian countries, and all the developments that are going, and the gynocentric influence that's infiltrating and changing that society dramatically. So I would include what's happening, our Korean brothers, right?
Right, our Korean brothers too. It's all over the world. It's saturated in Africa and Nigeria, and several. We don't get to talk to them. We don't get to feel the way, that feeling. We need to relate. We need to talk. We need to get together and express that feeling of Mgtow in a brotherhood.
Exactly, Joe. And that's pretty much where I fit in. Okay, is in that global, that global scale. Being a multilingual myself, I have that facility to reach out within those respective languages. I've had contacts with Mgtow and Brazil, put out some amazing content. For example, Brazil. I mean, who would think, that land would spark probably what's going on and what's developing a very strong Mgtow group. Now, we've all had images. I know I did. About Rio de Janeiro and Brazilian girls and all that. You'd never think that it would infiltrate. Quite the opposite. There's a few men that I've spoken to in Brazil that are showing, they're probably even stronger than us in some respects here in the West, here in the Anglo sphere, so to speak.
Hello, Shining.
Greetings, gentlemen. I hope
nice garden, Shining. Hello.
It's the same garden as always.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful garden too.
Well, I'm glad you guys like it. So, are we on any particular topic at the moment?
No, I just gave my diatribe and what it's going to be about, and we're going to talk about a lot of topics, and it more being the big one, and racial culturalism, and I like to talk about culturalism when I talk about race, and and that's important to us because we all have cultures that we like to. When I go around people, I like to go around people like myself, and we should accept that from all cultures. And Black Americans like to be around Black Americans because they can see themselves and they can learn from other Black Americans. You know, the same way I learned from when I go around Irish Americans, and Zeta was saying when he goes around people like himself, it's just comfortable. And we shouldn't look down on that. And really, the idea was nobody needs to ask my permission. And nobody needs to ask white America's permission to do this.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you should say that because one thing I found is, I mean, we were talking about race and racial identity last night, and one thing I found very common in the West is Asians, Africans, when they actually go back to China or go back to Africa or even back to Pakistan, they've been brought up their entire life in the West, but once they actually immerse themselves back in their, you know, brackets home, speech marks, home country, they find they don't fit in at all because they've been culturalized. You know, they've been in the West so long. They're now British or American. They're not particularly you know, North African or Chinese or Asian anymore. I mean, they just look at they, you know, they don't particularly like the way that people act. They don't like the you know, the mannerisms. They don't like even some of the food that they eat over there. You know, they have been climatized to the culture that they were brought up in. So
right.
Yeah, well,
we all been socialized to be.
Sorry, go ahead.
We've been socialized to be sort of in this Western culture, but we all have this certain drive in us, in what our fathers were and what our ancestors were. We want to find out about that, so we do this a lot as human beings. Like and we have the, you know, technological capabilities now to do that, and there's nothing wrong with finding out about your culture. And if you don't like it, you can just say, "Hey, I'm American," or "I'm British," and the melting pots of the world, and just identify with that. But if you want to find out about your culture and you like your culture, that's a great thing.
You know, they say, and it's been sort of bandied about that multiculturalism doesn't work, but I think it does. You know, I live in a very, very in fact, I would argue that the more multicultural a country is, the better it is. I mean, if you take a look at the most multicultural countries are probably the UK, America, and they've been like on the top of the league for you know, decades, and possibly even beyond the, you know, going into centuries. And if you look at the segregated or the you know, the quite uniform racial type of a country, like for example China or Pakistan, you know, they've been quite low in terms of life, quality of life, and so forth. But now that's changing. Now you find, you know, China's opening up, India is opening up, maybe not as much, but you find the more they open up, the more successful they are. You know, that's what I'd argue.
Yeah, we see this with within cities in our country, and I'll just use Cleveland because I live in Cleveland. I live outside of Cleveland, not in Cleveland, but I go to Cleveland, and what we have is a lot of different festivals. And I may go to the Italian festival one week, and then the next week I'll go to the Black festival, and I'll enjoy the foods and the scene and the look of that. And then the next week we're going to have the Irish festival. And then we're going to have like the Hispanic festival, and then we're going to have a simple festival of because we have a lake here. They'll bring in the ships, and we have this ship festival, which is a multicultural festival. And where I live, we have every year. It's almost every weekend they have a multicultural festival where you can go down and eat the foods and look around and enjoy the foods from. If we didn't have that, if we didn't have that, it would be all American Applebee's bland.
Exactly, and this is what I see. I mean, where I live, I mean, people they use the issue of food, but you know, food is quite a large part of your life. I mean, this is quite a large part of your living standards. It's a large part of your quality of life, and just the fact that you know you don't always have to have fish and chips. You know, if you want fish and chips, but you know, you want to experience, you know, the little just little parts of the cultures from all around the world, and every like couple of months we have like the European market. We come here, they have like sausages from Germany, they have like chocolates from Italy, and they have you know, coats from you know, just like products from all over the world, and they all come to our little city, and they all have set up the stalls there, and it's like one of the highlights of living here. And it, you know, it's certainly for me, it's certainly something that I always look out for. And just to add to that point, I think when they talk about the ghettos, I mean, over in the UK, you get you know, you get the ghettos of any colour. You know, you get like the Asian ghetto, like where I live. You get like the white ghetto, which is just in Leeds, in the middle of Yorkshire. You know, and obviously you get the black ghettos. It's not racially seclusive. It's like you know, you get wherever you go, you get like whenever you get like a poor population, you'll get like some type of ghetto. And it's just sad that people have said, well, it's because of the person's culture or the person's skin color. I don't think so. I don't think it is.
No, no, yeah, you can always visit those little townships and those little places, because in those places you're gonna see the real culture. You're gonna see the lovely people, and you'll get to experience it. And that's what it's about. If you're open-minded and you're not racially bigoted and you're not culturally bigoted, you go into these things and it's beautiful. You see the dance, you see the music, you see the food. There's much more to it than just a cover on a book. Like once you start reading that book and once you open it up, you go, oh, that is so interesting. I love that. And but today in America we have there are separations in townships, and white people generally don't want to go into the black areas. They feel fearful, and black people don't want to come into the white areas because they feel fearful. And we see this with the police, and the police. And I've experienced this in life. Driving while black, they call it. I for a long period of time, I had a black girlfriend, and we were coming out of the movie theater, and the cop pulled us over for what seemingly being no reason. And he said, by the way, to me, he said, I was on the right side of you. And I didn't understand what he was saying. I was on the right side of you. What he was saying is, I seen you, but he was good. He was telling on himself. He was saying to me that I didn't see the girl that was sitting next to me at that time, which was a black girl. And what he was telling on himself about was, yes, that's why he pulled me over. So I've seen it. And I'm not going to be one of those guys that say it doesn't exist, because I know it exists. But that's what we're doing here. We're talking about it. Let's talk about this, and let's make it stop, because we are men, and we have the strength and fortitude in Mgtow and in our community to make it stop.
Yeah, I think one thing in UK politics, anyway, one thing they say is never talk about, they call it the race card. And I think a couple of years ago they were using it because not so long ago, the police, UK police, they admitted that they were institutionally racist. They said, we tend not to employ people that aren't of our skin color, and what that led to, it led to quite an insufficient police force, in that they were regarded as very biased, very unjust. And obviously, being a police, you're supposed to be the embodiment of justice. You're supposed to be the embodiment of good character. Obviously, this was far from the case, and time and time again, it was shown that the police that were being biased against one type of a nationality or race, and the politicians started to use this as a selling point. And now the politicians, that a rule they have amongst each party is that they're not going to talk about race. And
Yeah.
it was something that when it came across into the manosphere, we've been thinking, should we address this problem? And I don't know if it was because if we thought if we just leave it, it'll go away, or if we thought, well, if we pick up on it, it will just exacerbate the subjects. But it seems every now and again it comes up, and it's a horrible thing, racism. It's an ugly, disgusting thing, and it's just a shame. 2015, civilization still has this very ignorant poison.
Yeah, it is ignorant, isn't it? It's a lack of education. I think it's a lack of training. It's a lack of proper etiquette. It's a lack of so many things when you see these people, and they come off as I said last night that they come off as stupid to me, and when they make these comments, and I think of these people as ignorant, and I wish I could educate them. I wish I could just go give them a hug and say, hey, everything's okay. Let's be men and talk about this. But
yeah, there's a lot of anger out there, and people looking for someone to blame. They call it the blaming culture now. Today it's all about the blame. Yeah. Things are really, really fucked up. Whose fault is it? Oh, it's the immigrants. Oh, it's the it's the poor. Oh, it's these people, and the government, they seem to love it. It seems to take this spotlight on them because really it's their fault. Yeah. I mean, it's their responsibility to make sure things are good, things are running smoothly. people are well looked after. It's their responsibility. It's their fault. Whoever has the highest responsibility, when something goes wrong, in business, that's the person you blame, and same in society. It's the government's fault.
Yeah, lack of accountability seems to be the trend. Yeah, guys, sorry to interject there. Yeah,
they were using identity.
And in the chat room, please fill them in, and I'll air it for you guys. Go ahead. Hello?
Okay, yeah. They were using identity politics as a voter base. And is that what you're saying there, Shining? That they don't really care about the subject. The politicians are using identity politics as they bring in voters.
I mean, anything that will get them. Well, I think the elections are rigged. I haven't trusted an election for some time. Every now and again, I think they're not able to get away with it, but I think especially the last election, I know there's been some talk about it on some channels, not all the particularly the Mgtow channels, but certainly amongst the manosphere. But yeah, the conspiracy theorists will tell you that it's a divide and conquer type of thing. You don't have to believe in conspiracies to know that that's how you keep the population from rising, from rebelling, or from protesting. Keep them fighting amongst themselves, and they won't fight you. They won't protest against you. They won't refuse to pay their taxes. They'll be blaming each other rather than blaming us.
Yeah, it just gives us someone a convenient boogeyman, doesn't it? And that's what we see a lot in the NWO or the conspiracy theory guys, and that stuff is fun. And I'll admit that for a moment, believing in lizard people that are trying to take over the universe is a fun thought to entertain.
I don't know, that could be possible.
Yeah, it could be possible.
Could be lizard people.
Yeah,
have you seen the series V? That always reminds me of the TV series. Sometimes.
Oh yeah.
They rehashed it. Yeah, they rehashed it a few years ago. That was that was a brilliant series. When the world is occupied by aliens that wore human skin.
Yeah. And it's fun to entertain those things as a fiction. And we breached on that last night a little bit about Hollywood culture and the portrayal of Black Americans. And we can link that directly to Mgtow. And when you look at who's the guy, Truth Over, not Truth Over Everything. He does this series on. He's not around much anymore, but he did the series on how TV portrayed men in on TV. And we as Mgtow especially can see that, yes, Hollywood does that stuff. Hollywood will portray the black male as being, that he'll cast them in those positions. But also, Hollywood does that to men in general. And they portray us as goofy and stupid and clumsy, and we eat too much, and we sit around and put chips on the floor, and we always want to watch football. But that's fantasy fiction. And I wanted to say that to a lot of guys. If you're watching too much TV and you're involving yourself in that kind of fantasy fiction, you're never going to get to the real heart of things, because that's all they want you to see. They want you arguing about the lizard people, and it's fun, and it provides entertainment for us. But on this channel, science, we're talking about science, we're talking about real things, we're talking about Mgtow, and we're talking about racism, and we're talking about the way men are treated, and them are real things. And I never want people to confuse real stuff with that MWL conspiracy theory and entertainment.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, it's a health and sciences, and somewhere in our talks, like we have for the past few months, everything we've talked about is going to fit neatly into those categories. It's going to be health and science, and it's going to be related. It's always going to come down to that. And that's where we work from. That's what we've been building since we started this podcast, Joe.
Yeah. You had an interesting view of in Toronto there of the way things work, and how the communities form in Toronto, and what's going on in Toronto, and how it's growing and everything, and the way the TV and the media. We talked about this once before, and how the media kind of pushes these issues a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, Toronto is a prime example, and this is getting back to what Shining was talking about earlier on. Toronto is right now neck and neck with probably one of the cities in China. It's the most multicultural, diverse city, and has been. I mean, that's all I've known for 4 decades in the city of Toronto, right? We've got 173 different cultures, okay? Over 120 languages are spoken, and that's in a country that's bilingual English and French. So you want to talk about complexities, yeah, but then, everybody just seems to get along, Then again, there are also, people talking under their breath from culture to culture. But in general, out on the street, eventually everybody meets up, and you were talking about the different foods. I can tell you, in the city of Toronto, I can go to about 6 or 7 different neighborhoods, okay, and pretty much sit down and talk about the food of the day and join in, and try and sample different things. This is very common, if you go to the east side of Toronto, you're going to get some of the best roti man. You know what I mean? You go to Chinatown, of course, there you have it. If you want to go to Little Africa, you can indulge in some of the Ethiopian delights. Man, I can go on and on and on. But you want to talk about cohesion? In many respects, it's happening here, right? And, of course, several generations who, like myself, who have grown up, and all we've known is multiculturalism, right? Yeah. I mean, as an example, when I was younger, my closest friend at the time in high school was Polish. And, he'd invite me over to his place. We'd go and hang out. His mom didn't speak a word of English, right? And I learned how to say certain things, a couple things in Polish, right? To the point that I can construct sentences and, conduct a conversation. But that's, that's my ability, so to speak. But that's very common. That's what happens, right?
Yeah.
In a situation like that. I mean, that's a separate podcast, talking about the complexities and the great things that come out of multiculturalism.
I think with the opening of the internet and the closing of the communication barriers, I think just the idea of having an international community I think is a wonderful thing, and the fact that when people start talking to each other and they start to understand and they start to see each other less as a race, less of a nation, but more as a human race and as humanity. I mean, one of the examples is the community of Mgtow. The fact that all these guys, they come from all walks of life, from across the world, and we all come together, and we all find out that that deep down inside, fundamentally, we're just men. We've all got the same problems. We all pretty much want the same things, and it is a fantastic, wonderful thing. And what with the opening up of the with travel as well. So, I mean, air travel is more and more affordable now. People, they're able to go to another country, and they see that actually it's not at all what they used to think it is. How it was described in the news, or how it was told in some biased review of it. People can see for themselves, see with their own eyes really what's going on, what the world is really like, rather than through some dark tinted political glasses.
Yeah, yeah. I had a question, and we can look at this community as a microcosm of the vast community. And when you first put this community together, and I don't think you did it consciously, you just did it unaware of, we can look at all of us and say, man, this is a really multicultural health and science hangout in the Shining hangout, and there's different cultures within this, and it just happens sort of unaware of it, and you never had to think about it, and it tells a lot about Mgtow in itself. We know Zeta says he's multicultural, and you say you're multicultural, and you all know what I am, and then Nico's unspecified. And,
Yeah.
That's a different culture.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, cultural differences are only very, very slight. I mean, nobody has a culture where it's going to be totally. I mean, despite what the paranoid government will tell you, nobody has a culture which is completely destructive to another culture.
Yeah.
That's all totally nonsense. Our cultural differences are very, very slight. People generally, they all want to, they all want to have a comfortable place to sleep, some good food to eat, some good company to pass the time, entertainment, and mental stimulation, as well as a healthy lifestyle that will keep them breathing and seeing and hearing. That's basically what people want, and that's universal across any culture.
Yeah. We breached on the topic a little bit, and I think Turd Flinging Monkey brought it out, is this desire to have confirmation bias, and within these kind of groups, and the confirmation bias is a little bit over stressful sometimes. That desire to put out your idea as everybody's idea, and I find in Mgtow that it happens a little, and we can spot those groups right away that have this confirmation bias, and they're easy to spot because it's always a direct, and they won't veer from the topic. They won't grow with the topic as the thread progresses. What do you think about the confirmation bias that you see?
I don't know. What do you think about that, Zeta?
Sorry, I was just answering somebody in the chat room.
Okay.
Right, again, there you go. Okay, sorry about that. What was the question again?
Yeah, we see a little bit of confirmation bias, and when on the chats and everything, when we see subgroups and groups that are like we can use the KKK Mgtow that come around, or the Satanist Mgtows, or the subgroups. When we see these things, there's always a bit of confirmation bias that tells on them, and maybe their idea of Mgtow is a little skewed, and we have to talk through this. And are they here to just push their point? And is that good for Mgtow?
Well, this is what discussion's all about, and that's what we
Yeah.
have to iron out. And right now the hot topic obviously is Ibmore.
Ibmore, yeah.
More in the sub factions, and I think this is something that time will tell. A lot of things are so new, okay, and so new in group dynamics within Mgtow, Joe. In many respects, I find it hard to gauge, and of course, I got to take in my skewed perspective too, as well, of the way I've lived, right, in particular community that I have, right. So it's, but you're right. Yeah, there is some confirmation bias, and that ties in with what you were saying. We're always going to relate to something that's culturally or racially close to us, right? The question is, can we expand from there? And that's what globalization is showing. As to what extent can we expand? And of course, the internet playing a huge factor in that.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know how long we want to go on with this subject, or if it's going to go on for a really long time. We have to discuss health too, men's health. A lot of guys wanted to discuss health. They liked that podcast from last week where we can men, and it has a lot to do with we can gently interweave with the Black American and the Black American with his heart. You're going to see a lot of Black Americans with heart problems at 50 from stress.
Yeah.
And we can help relieve that stress, and that's what Mgtow is about. Stress kills men, and unfortunately, it kills men before their time, before they get to enjoy anything in life. We're worker bees. We're worker bees up till the time of 62. Then we usually drop over dead before we get to collect a Social Security check.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned stress being a killer. I don't know if you guys know, but like during the Middle Ages, the average age of the English adult was 32. So after about 32, you was expected to be dead. So 32 was actually considered quite old. But during that time, I mean, the rest of the world was as it is now. I mean, it's pretty much that people were expected to live between 60 and 70 and 80. Strangely enough, in the colder the climate, the longer the life expectation was. So, like, for example, the Eskimos or the Inuits, they were expected to live around 100 years old.
Okay. Yeah, we see that with the Norwegian culture and the I like to use the Human Genome Project. When they looked at the Human Genome Project, there was two cultures that they looked at. There was one in South America that had very good history, and then there was a Norwegian-Swedish culture, and then they looked at how long they were living and what they were eating. And they were eating in Norwegian. They were eating a lot of fish with the fish oils, and that made the huge fish oil craze, and which is still very popular. It's good to eat that fish oils and get them into your body as antioxidants. And we've seen with this is how we find things out. We can look at cultures, different cultures, and find out who's living the longest. I think they did. Italy too was involved that because of some of the
Greece, Spain, and Portugal, all those countries, where rich, they rely pretty much on the ocean and what kind of fish that they're having in their diet. But that's a huge factor, and of course the new craze, the Mediterranean diet speaks a lot. But there are people there that are living well into their 90s, even up to 100. Right?
Yeah, the olive oils and the wines were the same thing, and we found out that the chocolate from the Brazilian, and they were living longer, and then and it's not the actual in the blueberries too. Blueberries were curing they were curing Alzheimer's disease in mice and rats. So we can culture plays a big part in the way we can look at healing the nations and healing people. And men need to look at these things. And if you never listened to the Human Genome Project, there's a woman, and I know a lot of the guys have some rejection about listening to a woman, and I get it a lot. Yeah, but she writes a very good book. It's called I don't know if I can ring up the exact. It's If I Can Remember Everything I Forgot, and it's about Scott Smalls from Berkeley. and Scott Small's Anti-Human Genome Project, and she says at the end of this $2 billion research that they were doing, it was the biggest research ever on Alzheimer's disease and how to help people live longer. And they found out blueberries, fish oil, chocolate, and a glass of wine every day, and you're going to be mentally fit when you get older. And it's important to start when you're 45, 35. I mean, as a child or as a teenager, we're just going to do damage to ourselves. That's what life's about, you know, risking it, drinking hard, doing damage to yourself, smoking pot, whatever you're doing. But at a certain point in your life, you have to put that away and start thinking about how you're going to... The way I want to die is to be mentally sharp still. I don't want to be mumbling and not knowing what I'm talking about, and not knowing, because I've went through that once before in my life. I told you at one point after my accidental poisoning that I was a retard for a while, and I know that feeling of being helplessly caught within your body.
Is it just about the food though, or is it about like your lifestyle, like your stress levels?
Your stress levels. If you smoke, if you study, and they found out once you do these things to grow the new neurons in your head, you have to put those neurons into action. You have to start working. Yeah, you have to start working them out with those little. They say crossword puzzles. You know, just do something interesting in a day. Do something that takes a little mental strain, and you'll grow those neurons. You can grow new neurons, and there's no doubt about that. But unless you feed those neurons, and unless you feed your hippocampus, they're useless. They're just as bad as the dead neurons. They don't have no imprinting on them. So you have an opportunity to imprint on those new neurons. Isn't that exciting? You can grow a new neuron and then have the opportunity in your life to imprint on that new neuron and change the way you think about the world.
Yeah, we need that. I think
that's the study of neuroplasticity. I mean, it's not fairly recent, but it's something that's been studied for the past 10 years. And namely, they've gone to Tibetan monks, Buddhist monks, and plugging up the probes and everything. And some of the findings that they're having are just phenomenal, right?
Yeah. So we in stress, like a Shining said, stress. How do you guys deal with the stress? And we all have, from being in Mgtow, we all had to go through some stressful things in our life. And how do you deal with it?
I think stress is a strange thing, because you find that if a person does nothing, if he just sits in his house or just stands in the wood, that's quite stressful after a while. When you just sat doing nothing, you get fidgety. You sort of feel unfulfilled. You feel unstimulated, and it's a strange thing. It's like the human being, it's like the human soul, the human mind. It needs a certain level of challenge. So it's not all about just taking things easy and sitting back doing nothing.
Right.
It has to be some level of fulfillment as well.
Yeah. I found out after my experience in life that I went to a group and I started learning about men's health, and from that group there was men that were willing to get busy and start studying and start being proactive in their own health, and then there was the men that didn't do that. And I found that those men that didn't do that usually passed away, and at my age I can count the men that have passed away and gave up, and the apathy thing. And we hear a lot about the apathy thing, and it's so, and Nico, I wish Nico was here right now, and because he's passionate about the apathy, but he's 100% right, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, this is the reason why we try to promote a little bit more activity amongst the Mgtow. I mean, you can't, it's, if you really care about your fellow man, if you care about him just as much as you care about yourself, because sometimes it is projection. You know, you do want yourself to improve, so you cast it on other people. You try to advise other
Right.
people what you yourself would want for yourself. You know, projections can be negative and positive as well. I mean, if you have a good outlook in life, it's going to reflect in the company that you keep. You're going to try and uplift the people around you, which is, you know, a reason why people like to, you know, generally speaking, people like to be around positive people, because they want, you know, that energy, that influence.
Yeah,
So
positive people are doing something.
yeah,
It's
and
a-
I think. Yeah, and I think this is what quite a large number amongst Mgtow, they think Mgtow can bring. They think, you know, they can bring this positivity back in their life. They can, you know, it'll decrease their stress level, and it'll be good life advice as well. I mean, where else do you go for life advice? People, they buy books, they watch, you know, morning TV, afternoon TV, you know, cookery programs, home improvement programs. They think uh, that these things, they'll improve their lifestyle, but there's nothing like good advice to improve your lifestyle.
yeah, yeah. Where do you get that good advice? You can get bad advice anywhere. You can get bad advice at your local pub, you know. And that's where I was taking my advice early in life. I was going to the local pub, talking to the traditional bartender, and his idea is always get a girl, get laid, uh, involve yourself in that gynocentrism, and have a happy life, you know. And that was so wrong. And that's the kind of advice we get most of the time on the internet too.
Well, yeah, that's poor man's therapy right there. I mean, traditionally, that's what men have had to rely on for the longest time, probably for a century, if not longer. Is where do you go and talk about your problems? Well, sit down at the bar, crack open a bottle of JD's, and off you go. And there you, and your bartender becomes your shrink right there and then. That's all. That's pretty much what men know, right?
Yeah, yeah. They destroyed those spaces now for men to talk about things, and we can't have our private chats anymore because of PC correctness. Because
Yes.
we have to worry every second, every moment of our lives that we're going to say the wrong thing. And that brings me back to a topic that me and Shining talked about earlier about me involving myself in it more because I have to worry about saying the wrong thing and
Yeah.
being 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 labeled as a racist could ruin me. It could ruin my life. And we find this with politicians. We find this with regular people, and you find it now on your work site and here on these channels and YouTube. If you make one little wrong slip up, that fear. But what I wanted to talk about was the fear of that. Shining, do you think there's a fear of white Americans to help out because they are going to say the wrong thing?
Oh, definitely. You only need to read the comments for you know, for a few minutes, and you'll see that there is an I mean, partly it is founded because whether we like it or not, you know, we all have some level of ignorance. No man knows everything. No man has
Yeah,
encompassed
Yeah.
all knowledge. And when it comes to relationships with other people, you know, you're gonna at some point get it wrong. You know, sometimes we're gonna say a joke, and we're gonna offend somebody, and you know, we don't want to exacerbate our relationships. Obviously, we all want to be liked by other people. We all want to get along with other people, and I would say it's not as bad as some of the paranoid people think it is. You know, you know, people aren't going to be as offended as you think they are. I mean, it's quite. You know, the issue of race, it's been hammered out so many times. You know, every insult that can be
yeah,
given has been, you know, said, and every PC cliche that has been, you know, that can be imagined has come out. So I think, yeah, you should state your beliefs, because I think generally people know and people understand that unless you state you state what your beliefs, you know, we're not going to be able to communicate. We're not going to be able to hash these things out. But then I think
yeah,
that there is uh, a level where people, they are, that are quite ignorant of some issues, and they can offend some people. Whether intentionally or unintentionally. I mean, in the UK now, there's a belief amongst a lot of people that it's racism when it's against Asians, Indians. It's racist when it's against Indians. It's racist if you're biased against blacks. But against the Orientals, it's not. That's not racism. You can say whatever you want to them, and I've heard people say that.
Yeah. I was trying to look at the comments here. We see X-Polydex in the room, and
X-Pal, how are you, old friend?
yeah, and Manar Peoples is in the room too, and I'd like to say hello to Mar Peoples. He's a purple pillar and a blue pillar, but he's one of my favorite sort of Mgtows.
Oh, he's been very, very popular. How is that guy doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fancy meeting Manar People there. Haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah. I love him. He's so funny sometimes, and he's got a different view. But that's what Mgtow's about: accepting people's different view and becoming better people for it. And X-Polydeck, what was the question X-Polydeck had about PC correctness and people are pro-divided or have pro-diversity or po-diversity, and sometimes one calls me a racist, I'm going to call him a pedophile. And so that's the escalation of this, isn't it? And I think X-Pal is talking about the escalation of getting off on the wrong foot with people. And I wanted to bring up a gentleman I knew that had this terrific way, and Zeta, you just brought it up, of sometimes people that are ignorant don't know the difference, and you have to be gentle with them, and you have to you have to try to explain to them. And this gentleman, my friend, had a beautiful way of just let them say what they wanted to say, then try to explain the difference and try to let them see your side of the view and try to see their side of the view, because we don't want this thing to escalate. And what X-Pal said, one guy calls a guy one thing, and then another guy calls him back, and then it escalates, and it's sort of the Vietnam thing. It just keeps escalating, and someone has to, and someone is going to have to take the initiative to end it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do support freedom of speech. I think people should be able to express their opinions, express their beliefs, no matter how ignorant or offensive they are. If that's what they really believe, well, let's talk about it. Why do you think that's true? What are the other sides saying? I mean, we need to discuss it. I mean, some people really, really are as stupid as they look. I mean, like I just mentioned, the people that think it's racism when it's honest, and actually only up until like 10, 15 years ago, people thought you couldn't be racist to white people, and in fact, this is still bandied around. I think there's a black channel that says this, and obviously that's not the case. I think you only need to go to. I mean, I pulled up the video about South Africa. I mean, the racism now is on the whites now in South Africa. Some people say they deserve it. That's not what I'm arguing about. I'm just saying that racism or ignorance or prejudice or victimization can be on any people, but we have to discuss it. Otherwise, people they're not going to learn. And you're not going to learn unless you speak against it. If you're going to offend people, like I know sometimes in the comments, people might say something offensive, but I think there's a difference between when somebody intentionally wants to offend, when somebody intentionally wants to just stir up controversy. I think there's a difference between somebody expressing their views, their opinions, and from somebody who just wants to fight.
Right, yeah. Turd Flinging Monkey had a lot of interesting things. We were talking after the after chat, and I love the after chat sometimes because we can loosen up, and we just start laughing and joking. And
he really let his hair down. I haven't seen this side of TFM before. It's really really nice to see the guy open up.
Yeah, it's a great thing. But we started talking about the cranium on the male, and it started sexual dimorphism. It's a real thing, and we got to admit that males are just smarter because we have 10% more brain mass, and it's just a fact. You know, you can't argue with. And we started talking about what's that? It's sort of a religion where you can feel the cranial size, and it's like reading a palm.
Yeah, I've heard something about along those lines. However
Yeah.
that works.
Yeah, but there was the interesting part is the lumpiness of the man's head. Most of us can't shave our heads and have that really cool look because there's big, huge lumps on our heads. And
Right.
And I wanted to bring this back to the intelligence of the viewer and the intelligence of sometimes we got to admit that there are going to be those 60 IQ guys out there, and those 60 IQ women too also,
Oh, yeah.
that are going to say really, really stupid things. And I like to look at them as handicapped or disabled, and I try to be sensitive and to them, because after, you know, it's like looking at that cranial size, it's going, oh yeah, this guy's not too bright. But it does. I don't exclude him as being a friend, or and I understand that maybe they can't take in all that information, like love and creativity, and you know, being a brother to another brother. But we can still try, you know, and that's what Mgtow's about. Just, you know, giving it your best effort, and trying, and the strength. I love that video Spetsnaz made today about, he says, we're not going to change women's because it's gone too far now. We're not going to change them. We're going to need to force the issue. And to do that, we're going to have to find the strength within us. And the more rational men are just going to rise to the top. And I feel sorry for the stupid, ignorant bigots. And I'll try to include them. But, you know, they need to understand, and they need to try to understand, and just being a little more sympathetic to them is going to be the way. Because if you try to say to and that goes back to the ex-pal thing, we don't want this thing to escalate, and we know with stupid people, the old saying, you know, never argue with an idiot. He'll beat you with experience and then drag you down to their level.
Good line.
Yeah. After saying all that, though, I don't think you need to be a scholar of a
No.
you know, of intellect to have a valid view. I think you just have to. I think it's just about. I don't know. It's hard to put your finger on it. I think you just have to be sincere. You know, just
Sincerity. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, you don't have to. I mean, every man has. That's something we advocate in Mgtow. You know, every man has value. You know, nobody's like nobody's expendable. You know, nobody's. We're trying to get away from the worker drone mentality. And you know, you don't have to be particularly the strongest or the smartest, you know, to be of value. I mean, we all have something that we can contribute. I mean, it's something that I hope we can get across the manosphere. The fact that every man does have value. I mean, it's not. You know, we're not all like these little playing cards where I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't remember that game. You know, where you have these playing cards and you have like different vehicles or different like monsters, and they've got all the attributes about them. It's about, you know, what we can do. You know, it's about our actions, our contribution. You know, this is what life is about. Life is a series of events, and how you act to them and how you contribute. You know, it is about your actions. So that's why I think Mgtow is so against this apathy, this men standing in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, we all are. We want to see men active, happy, and enjoying their life, and that's what Mgtow's about: enjoying your life, and not becoming that worker drone for the plantation. And that's what it's all about. And I'd like to see more of it. But like you said, we have to be inclusive, and the more inclusive we are, the better this thing's going to work. And just growing Mgtow, it's a like I said before, it's a multi-headed hydra, and we can grow it so many ways. by being diverse and happy and health and looking at science and looking at a lot of different subjects.
Mm.
I was trying to look at the comments. They went south a little bit.
Yeah, we've got Teacher has joined us. Good
Teacher
morning.
has joined us.
Yeah.
What was that? The fireman or policeman had who? Where did TFM do? Where did he speak last night on last night's podcast on Shining's channel? Is where you find where TFM was talking. What was that guy's name? Laughing Policeman. He said, "What was TFM on?" He was on the podcast at Shining. Did you put that up, Shining, or are you editing?
Yeah, that's up now because I scheduled it last week. It's a video before the last one, so it's not the last video. The last video was the apartheid, after the apartheid in South Africa. It's a video before that. That'll be the podcast that we did last night, which was, by the way, fantastic. Want to use this opportunity again to thank everybody that contributed, all you guys that turned up, all you guys that listened. I think it's already got 180 views or something. So it is a very informative, and I think a very informative podcast. I think people will enjoy it.
Yeah, it was a good podcast. They had a good talk. I was awakened a little. It was emotional, and it was helpful, and it was irritating at points, and it was a lot to swallow, but it was a good thing, and it all turns out in a good way.
Well, you can't have a more you can't have a better podcast than that when you go for all those emotions. I have to say that was quite that must have been quite an eventful podcast. But no, you can't ask for more than that. You know, all those emotions all in a couple of hours. Yeah, like I said, guys, if you're listening and you haven't watched it, as soon as we're finished on here, just skip over to my channel and check out the podcast on Black Mgtow and American racism.
Now, we were talking earlier about the distinction between Ibmore and Black Mgtow, and you favor the distinction being the Black Mgtow.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's Mgtow then, and we were worried about Ibmore straying too far from the the field, or straying too far from Mgtow and then not being Mgtow anymore. Did you have any thoughts on that?
I wouldn't know, but I mean, Ibmore's still quite new. I mean, it's early days yet. We'll see how things pan out on that. But you know my stance on that. I think unity is absolutely necessary. No problem people going into their own little circles. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, are we going to stop caring as men? Is it going to be us versus them? That's a scenario that I hope we cannot avoid.
Yeah. Did anybody talk to Warhorse this morning? I haven't heard from him.
Is he gone? Is he AWOL?
Yeah, he's been AWOL for a little bit. And this morning, you said he was on this morning, and I can't. Was I supposed to send him a link or?
Yeah, no. I got a message from Warhorse. He said, "Guys, it's been a rough week, and he's hurting, so I'm just kicking back today. Might join in later, but not sure." So that's where Warhorse is at.
Okay, that's great. Okay, yeah, I had a rough week this week too. You guys want to share what you guys did this week or anything? Go
ahead.
Stress-wise and health-wise, I've been taking the testosterone supplement that Dark Knight. So
I've been taking it too. I just got some in the mail actually the other day, and I've been taking the aspartic acid.
Acid, yeah. What I found is the last 3 days, I went to a ball game on a Cleveland Indians ball game, and we won. Yay, go Indians! But all that, it was very interesting. I found myself looking around and looking at other girls and participating in that. But it's quite a walk, and then I walk for my 2 miles a day, and then I worked out. But the 3 days, and then we went out somewhere else. And with the testosterone boost, I found myself real energetic.
Yeah.
But and this goes back to the Warhorse too. I overdid it a little bit, and I found myself yesterday sitting there going, "Ow, ow." my feet were hurting, my legs were hurting, and
I love that feeling. I love that feeling. It makes me think that I've done a good workout.
Yeah, and that was new to me because I up to that point I haven't had the strength to do that to myself. But with the help of modern chemicals, I've been doing it. How you doing on it? Have you got to the point where you feel anything yet, Zeta?
Yeah, I've done 2 days already, and yesterday I noticed something. I actually got little aggressive spurts. You know, I snapped at my dad, man, for no reason. I go, what was that all about, right?
Oh my!
And I had a little bit of acid reflux, you know, because it is an acid, right? So I felt that going on. But you want to talk about a surge of energy? Definitely. Somebody was about to cross my path out, and this isn't me. I haven't been like this in a while. So it's starting to take some effect, and I'm actually looking forward to start working out, you know, while taking that.
Yeah. I'm on my well, I started it last Sunday, so this will be my 7th day on it, and
Okay.
I found it's helping. And I haven't weighed myself yet, but I have found there's certain effects with it that are intestinal, some intestinal discomfort. If you want to, I want to be mild about it, but it tastes like what do you think? It tastes like a pure vitamin C almost, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I got some Crystal Light because I have to be off of sugars and carbohydrates for the next while, or at least control my carbs. But yeah, it tasted like citric acid or like a crushed up aspirin or something like that.
Yeah, a crushed up aspirin. At the end of they say put it in 12 ounces of water, and I found that it doesn't dissolve all the way, and now I can see the Hymenofort and maybe a micro. What Hymenofort does is they take the proteins from the egg, the chicken egg, which is the yellow part of the chicken egg, and that has the same thing as Hymenofort, and you put it in the chicken egg. It helps you digest it because I found that it doesn't break down in water very well. It's not water soluble, and then you get that chalky end, and you're trying to do it all, but you get that chalk in your mouth at the end, and it's just kind of like, that's not pleasant.
Yeah, I got that. Right towards the end. You're about to take the last sip, yeah.
They say 12 ounces of water, but 12 ounces of water doesn't do it. 24, maybe a little over 24. You have to drink it.
I just go with a tall pint glass. That's good enough right there.
Yeah, that's what I was using, a beer glass. I haven't tried it in beer yet.
I'm not sure if that acid's going to mix well with the carbonation there, Joe.
Yeah. I have to try that and see if we can. But maybe there was a couple good videos on YouTube about if you want to bypass the cost of the Hymenofort, and that's $65. Egg yolks, and then stick it in some egg yolks, and then what you do is you know those little jewelry cleaners, the micro jewelry cleaners that micro vibrate.
The vibrating type.
You clean those out. You put your egg yolk in there, and you put the aspartic acid in there, and then it'll bond it to the egg yolk, and it'll make it easily digestible.
Interesting.
And then your actual testosterone levels, instead of the 40% that they guarantee almost, in Dark Knight was saying you can get up to 120% then.
Holy jeez. Pure testosterone.
Pure testosterone. Yeah, what's that bike rider that was
level in your bloodstream, I guess.
Yeah. What's that Tour de France rider that got caught doing the blood doping and all that stuff? You're going to be like him after that 120%, 220% pure testosterone.
Holy gee.
Yeah, that could be a little dangerous. I don't know. I've never had my testosterone levels up that high.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know what that feeling's like.
Yeah, I wouldn't know either. Probably when I was in my 20s or something like that. But that was interesting. I kind of felt that. I felt like a man in his when I took.
Yeah. Did you find a clarity? Did it provide you with any
No,
bit
that's
of?
what I'm after. The mental clarity. That's
Yeah.
what I was. I felt the body surge. I was ready for action, kind of thing. I was snapping, but I kept telling myself, testosterone does play a vital part on brain function, and that's the so that might be an invitation to restart my meditation program that I was doing for years, and in
Yeah.
conjunction
Yeah.
with the testosterone supplement. It'll be very interesting, actually.
Yeah, de-stressing and doing the meditation and with the testosterone. And I found that I got a sort of mental clarity about, and I found I always say when I want to search for that clarity, I'm looking for it because it's so hard to define and it's so hard to articulate. I want to feel like I felt when I was 16 years old, 17 years old. I want that mental clarity. I can remember that mental clarity, and I had a little bit of that this week after about the 6th day.
Yeah.
And I was just out, observing the world that I live in, staring at the trees, out in the yard, trying to pick a few leaves, and I noticed, wow, there's something happening here. And the way I look at life's a little bit different, and it's not as stressful. And I was just looking at the wind blow, and kind of relaxing on my front porch, doing the meditation thing with the little dog, my new little dog. And there was a peace and a quiet, and after my workout, and that always feels good, doesn't it, Shining? Just that lovely feeling of after you work out, and you're like, as a man.
Yeah, and then you have a nice cool shower, and you all feel relaxed. That's life.
Yeah, that's something women will never know too. That feeling that we get from working out. The gynocentric's never going to know that pump of adrenaline, that being a man, that freshness. That you walk out of the gym and you're just I'm gonna go get a beer and I'm gonna punch my friend in the shoulder and he's gonna punch me back and we're gonna be men and we're gonna act like men. And it's a beautiful feeling.
I think that after workout, I think that after workout thing has more to do with that runner's high, where your dopamine is just at a peak right there, and that's really what's conducive to that good feeling. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, I love that
runner's high.
Yeah, love that feeling. Love that feeling. Wish I can get it more in life now. I misused it when I was young.
Yeah, take a number, Joe.
I actually made an early video about that, about working out, and you get to our age, you're not able to run as much, you're not able to lift as much, but you don't have to do as much. Just do half or just a fraction of what you used to do. You can still get the same feeling. You don't have to have a constant increase in your exercise output. Just do whatever your body's capable of. I mean, some people, they can work out every day, 2, 3, 4 hours to get this high, and for some people, it's just a matter of going for a walk around the block.
Yeah. Now
all the time.
And Mgtow speaking, does that high replace that addiction thing that Mgtows have, pre-Mgtows have to women? Do you think that helps out with the?
I think it helps out. I mean, when you're focusing on other stuff, you're not thinking about women as much. Certainly, I definitely think it works out. Not only just a physical exercise, but mental exercise. I mean, when you do these things, you feel more fulfilled in yourself anyway, and it is trying to fill that gap. I mean, when you do it properly, I mean, you don't really feel the need to have any type of a female validation or have that female attention anymore anyway, or maybe I'm just a bit of an old fuddy-duddy.
No, yeah. there was some issues about the young Mgtows and what they're having to go through, and that feeling was that feeling of the desire, the want to have sex, and it's vigorous. Sex is vigorous, and you get the same feeling from that as you get from working out. And a lot of the questions were angled at how do I reduce that feeling, and it's not how to reduce the feeling, because that's old guys like us. We've had it naturally reduced in our life.
Yeah.
The question for them is how to supplement that feeling. And there's a lot of supplements you can get working out. There's a lot of things you can do keeping active in your life where you just don't think about it anymore.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I think it's quite hard to understand. I mean, I'm sure you guys can remember when you were young. You've got because it's a biological thing, isn't it? You've got these hormones, and you've got these like these needs and these urges. But it does eventually subside. I mean, to the guys out there, it eventually subsides. Your body stops producing these chemicals as much. I mean, you always get it, but trying to occupy yourself with trying to improve yourself in other areas. I think that this is something you can use all the time. I mean, if you're fit and healthy, you're going to go into your older age with, with a better physical form, with more energy, with better health. And if you're constantly, exercising your mind as well, it's the same. You mentioned earlier, you don't want to have your last years in your life where you're a bubbling, a mumbling, bubbling. I think the word you used was retard.
Yeah.
You don't want that, and one of the ways is to keep your mind healthy. I'd say one of the ways, obviously, it's it's not a guarantee, but to keep your mind constantly active and healthy, and one of those ways is by mental exercise.
Yeah. Does the comments? I don't know if the commenters have any questions or they wanted to talk about anything, and
They all want to talk about sex.
Yeah, they want to talk about sex.
No,
yeah, I see.
We need Nico here for that, and he's not with us. So if you're hearing, listening in on,
I'm on the phone with Nico actually. Nico's actually just come off the plane. They've
Okay.
harassed him because they think he's a Muslim, so he's held up on the airport.
Really, must be the beard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and
He's
I've
got
just received a couple of images from Messenger. He's on the mountain. He's on Scarfield Pike now. Some excellent. He's actually above the clouds, so we're taking pictures with the clouds and the mountains.
Yeah, whereabouts is he? Shining.
Scarfield Pike. That's in West Yorkshire. No, not West Yorkshire. Lancashire.
Lancashire, north.
Yeah, yeah.
North there.
Scarfield Pike, Lancashire.
big mountain or medium?
It's one of the bigger mountains, Scarfield Pike. As far as I know, I think it's the fourth biggest mountain in the UK. It's very popular. It's all it's all like touristy. I mean, you'll be surprised that some of these mountains, they've paved the paths now, so people can get up and down there more easily. And even in some places, they put a little toll gate, so you have to pay to go walk on the path that they've built to walk up the mountain and down again.
Okay. Yeah, I think he had he did a video last year on that from the top of the mountain, and I don't know if he yeah, I don't know if he put that, if he posted that. Is he gonna? Did he just post?
Yeah, he just posted it on my phone. Obviously, we've got each other's phone numbers.
Okay.
So he just posted it on my phone.
Yeah, you got all the phone numbers. No one ever calls me.
Well, what's going on between you and the? What's going on between you American Mgtows? You should be getting it together. There's like so many of you.
Yeah, we have a distrust of each other. You guys want to talk about that? This distrust and how we can break through?
Yeah, get it together, guys.
Yeah, an interesting topic, and yeah, that's actually a really good observation there, Shining. What is it with American Mgtow? Let's get into that.
Yeah. Who wants to start it off?
Okay. American Mgtow.
Yeah. Why are you guys not meeting up? CS Mgtow just made that video about the London meetup. Mgtow sort of got formalized from the Americans, from you brothers.
Yeah.
So I mean, is it like a distrust of each other? Is it like the news media they're like scaring you off? You might be an axe murderer in the disguise of a Mgtow. There might be like some crazy pervert that wants to
Yeah.
rape you and then eat you.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
you
media.
tell.
The media saturation that if you watch Law and Order, you're going to think everybody's rapist.
Yeah, really.
I don't want to get my ass raped.
But I think it'd be good if you guys met up. A lot of you have the same hobbies. You talk about barbecue and football or some sport or running. Just you've got like so many things in common. Just get together, spend the day together, and make a
Yeah.
video about it. Fantastic.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm in the works for that for August, trying to get some time off there and join up with Joe in Cleveland, in the Cleveland area. I was also considering some thoughts on this, Joe. I think also Gregory Becker
Yeah.
is
Greg's from the Detroit area. Yeah.
yeah, in the Detroit, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, if it'd be possible to have some kind of a meetup, well, I'm shooting for August, so I'll definitely keep you posted there, Shining, everybody.
Yeah. Now there's other MGTOWs out there, and I know an ex-Paladox group. I think there was a guy from Sandusky, and that's real close to me. I mean, we can almost walk and see each other.
Yeah, yeah, no,
But we're back to the fear thing, and not what provokes that, what makes that, and we hear don't give out your phone numbers, but in a lot of groups that's rule number one. You give out your phone number so everybody knows what's going on with you.
right.
And we've seen that in the AA circles. The first thing you do is give out your phone numbers,
That's
and
right.
then you start talking, and that's the base of the group.
Yeah.
But there's this fear, this fear of I don't know, someone making prank phone calls to you.
Well, Frank Bogo's is being doxxed. I think doxing is,
Doxing.
Concerned here, for people to come out.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the issue of when you fall out, is this guy going to be an arsehole enough to start handing out your information to everybody?
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, is it that you don't trust yourself to be a good enough judge of character? I mean, amongst us lot, I mean, we sort of screen each other, we sort of talk on each other. I think this is why hangouts were so important, because you did get to know the guys a lot more before you started sharing information. I mean, we in our circles, I mean, we've talked so often. It's like, I think I talk to you guys more than I talk to any other person I know. We've talked hours and hours and days and probably even weeks, just on the hangouts, and you do sort of get a good sense of whether this guy's gonna be one of those that goes off in a huff and bears a grudge, and then once you fall out or you no longer want to develop that friendship, that he's just going to tell everybody your phone number, tell everyone your address.
Yeah.
Well, I think the theme in our group, Shining and Joe, is that the discussion is unending. Okay, I mean, Joe and I have spent hours. Last week we went on for 5 hours. Like you said, talking about common interests. And feeding off each other. Taking in ideas and all that. But 5 hours later, that has to speak for something. And of course, not just Joe, but with other guys in our group. The theme that's resounding in our group is the discussion's not over. It's going to be ongoing, and it's till death to us part and beyond. And that's what makes it beautiful.
I think we need this as well. I think men need in fact, it was one of the things that I think propelled Nico into popularity. He was like I don't know if you guys seen the podcast when Nico first came onto my hangout, but he said, men, they need this. I know it's become cliche now. We need this male space, where guys they come and they talk, and we do talk about. I mean, I learned this myself, and we do talk quite differently when it's just amongst men than when a woman comes along. I know people out there that they don't understand why, men need this male space. Why do men need a place to go where it's just all men, like and like-minded men. Well, people they don't understand, but it's not until you see the dynamics of the male group and just see where they go with it. I mean, for me, it was an eye opener too.
And for all fairness, there, Shining. I mean, this is still relatively new within the manosphere. Men, reaching out to one another and getting used to this new dialogue. We were for us that have been around. I mean, how many decades of gynocentric influence not only infiltrated in our minds but also in our speech to the point that we couldn't talk about things. And that's we're still getting used to it. Coming into these podcasts, coming into our hangouts, we're getting used to it. But you're right about one thing, and I can share that with you, Shining, is I'm spending more time with you guys than I would with my other friends out there, right? And there's definitely a difference, too, between the quality of talk that we have in our hangout, and certainly, I'm not going to talk about that, this stuff with my friends. I wouldn't dare, they're just not getting it. But
that's the point. That's the point.
Right, Bill. Sorry, go ahead.
We open up amongst each other more than we do amongst our close, intimate friends. I mean, Nico's already come and visited me in my house, and I know Messenger and Nico and me we're trying to figure out a point where we're all going to meet up. But we do talk about things that we normally wouldn't talk about amongst our. I mean, we say it, our blue pill friends, but really, I mean, the type of things, their ideology, their beliefs, how they see the world, it is very, very different. I mean, it is quite. We use the word gynocentric, but it is, it is quite revolved around their girlfriend, or around even some of them around their mother, or around their wife, and it's like it's now so ingrained in them that that every single decision they have has to revolve around their woman.
Yeah. Do you think we still get filtered through that gynocentric language when we say safe space, and we don't really mean the safe space, but it's just the word that's out there.
Yeah.
And what we really mean is an open man space. And if we say open space, it's open to talk freely about these things that Shining just said. It's filtered. If we filter it through a gynocentric filter, then we're talking about a safe space.
Yeah.
If it's male centric, then we're talking about an open space.
You know what it is? Here's what sums it up. It's a safe space to discuss open source amongst in an open source fashion. That term open source is powerful. It's huge. It's all encompassing.
Yeah, we get back to the language thing and about the logistics things that we talked about last week. I can't remember how you phrased that now.
Lexicon of the lexicon of Mgtow. The language in Mgtow we discussed last week, Joe.
Yeah, the lexicon of Mgtow, and that's another word we should use. Let's dump the safe space word and start using the male word, which is the open space.
Open space, open source.
Open source talking, because you'd notice it. It's a real thing in these groups.
Yeah. Hello?
I think he just passed out.
I ended my thought. I had one of those brain aneurysms there for a second.
Aneurysms. Yeah.
It was a fragmented thought.
I do like what's going on here. I mean, even amongst the closest group, we don't agree on 100% of everything, but it is the case where if two of us come to the point where we're dead set on opposing ideas, then you know, that doesn't get in the way of you know, the other 99.9% progress that we're trying to achieve here. And it is going back to activism again. I mean, when you've got a common goal, and you all realise that always takes precedence over, you know, your petty differences. I mean, I'm sure I annoy Nico in a few things. I know I do. I know he doesn't like the religious stuff, and sometimes I drop it on him. And you know, sometimes you know, his jokes I don't like either. But you know, I think we're great friends. I mean, the fact that we're so different on so many things, but the fact we all want to build this community, we want to build Mgtow, we want to see where this ideology that men everywhere are the same, that men everywhere can get together and be a better society than what this stupid government has made.
Yeah, yeah. I look at the comments now, and Israel Abandon just said, we need a safe space so we can discuss the faults of feminism and gynocentrism. I think what he meant is gynocentrism and safe space from feminism, and that's what we do. And we talk about that all the time, just being able to discuss what we observe in our world with gynocentrism. And if we didn't have the safe space, we'd never be able to ever discuss it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Expel had a couple of things to say
Yeah,
about the term safe space, that it's pussy for SJWs. You know, I tend to agree with that. You know, but the open space for men, you know, that speaks volumes right there, and that's what we've been doing all along.
Yeah, I love that conversation. What he said about Turkman, if Turkman was a girl. That's man talk, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
yeah,
man
we're up
talk.
to 19 viewers right now, guys, and you know, the chat room is vibrant and alive. You know, guys are sharing ideas there. You know.
Yeah, it's funny to listen. It's humorous, and men use humor more, don't they? And we understand humor.
Yeah, we find ways to make it humorous. That's for sure.
Yeah. I like to always bring up that topic when I talk about gynocentrism and the female retard, because the female retard doesn't understand sarcasm, irony, humor, inflections, stuff like that. But men understand them perfectly, and we take it lightheartedly. And I mean, you've seen it probably 100 times in your life. Call a woman the B word, a bitch, and see how that goes off. And then use the C word. You know, we call it. We call each other that all the time, and it doesn't affect us.
Oh, look at the English. You know, I mean, the C word is it's pretty much common language in Britain, Shining.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't want to call it names here. Hey?
I said you guys have been talking to Paul Wilson again.
I wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't going to mention any names there. Geez, sorry, Paul.
I'm sure he won't mind. Guys,
you love him. You really do.
I'm just going to be right back, guys.
Okay, he's getting a beer. Get me a beer.
I'm still working on coffee here, guys.
Yeah, I told you this morning I spilled mine. I made a critical mistake around my computer.
Oh, on the keyboard. Ooh.
Yeah. I brought the coffee in. I was happy. I was joyous at that moment. I just brewed a cup of espresso and a triple espresso, and I got the froth and I put it in there, a nice amount of sugar. It was my sugar treat for the week.
Yeah.
And, and I reward myself, you know, for a job well done this week. And I did my sugar treat, and I brought it in. It was the cappuccino I just had made. I put it on top of a pen, and it rolled right off onto my guitar, onto my seat, onto the keyboard, all over me. And I tried to catch it, and I made the crucial, fatal man mistake of trying to catch it, which just slung it all over. And there I was standing there, and you came in at that point. We started talking, and I had coffee all over me, sugary, sweet, brown coffee, and I was just so sad. I wanted to cry at that moment. Oh, yeah. So I went. You gave me enough time to go back and make my coffee, and probably it's getting what 12:35 now. It's almost time. It's almost beer 30.
I'm gonna be working on coffee still.
So working on that coffee. Yeah, coffee's a good thing. That's how I explain my Mgtow, my coffee, because I
Mgtow
make
coffee.
Yeah, I make it the way I want it. I put whatever the hell I want in it, and I don't value anybody's advice about it.
That's Mgtow to me. That's her.
Yeah, that's the way I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it the way I like it. And speaking of Menard Peoples, me and Menard used to go back and forth on this coffee thing. He's like, "Drink it black, Joe, like a real man."
No sweet.
Yeah.
Sweetener.
Yeah, it was the real man thing.
Make sure it's in a metal cup.
The man up thing would be to drink it black, and no, I'm going to put exactly what I want in it.
There's your stereotype.
There's your stereotype.
Maybe throw a splash of JDs in there, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things we relate to Mgtow from the moment we wake up in the morning to the moment we go to sleep at night, trying to keep in mind that we are Mgtow and we're living for ourselves. We're improving our lives because we want to live longer, healthier, more sustainable lives with happiness. And it's those little things, and we talk about this almost every week, those little things that you do, that I do, that Warhorse does, that Shining does, that we enjoy now doing, and we couldn't do them around our women. When we included women in our life, and we included the gynocentric, and we were filtered through the gynocentric.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's exactly the problem. Is that filtering process.
Yeah, that filter, it goes both ways because they're filtering a little bit of our utility out while they're doing that, and we don't see it. It's the cloak. They filter our utility out. They're filtering a little bit of our happiness out, and I wanted to talk about this on a video, and I can't articulate it. The most joyous time in my ex-wife's life, and you'll hear this from a lot of people, is when I'm miserable.
Yeah.
Do you find that with we talk about with ex-girlfriends and the palimony system and the alimony system? We see this common trope with TV. The woman calls them, says you're late on your payment, and she's getting a certain joy out of that. They have a word for that in Germany. That's Schadenfreude, is it?
I'm not sure. Okay.
The getting joy out of other people's misery, and we don't have a word.
Yeah. There is a term for that. Anybody in the chat room know what that term is?
Yeah, it's Schadenfreude or something like that. I can't remember the actual term. They can look it up
the suffering
for us.
Of others.
Yeah, the suffering of others, and women get that joy out of. We heard this with Mgtow Rising's video this week about how he said that if she knew I was unhappy, she was happy about that, and the government provides women with the tools to extract that misery out of you, and what we do is just don't share that with them, and you don't show them weaknesses, you don't show that unhappiness anymore, and that drives them absolutely nuts when they can't get that out of you.
Yeah, and not willing to admit it. And most of the time, they're operating on a subconscious level. They don't even know that they're doing it.
Right, they don't even know that they're doing it, but they still get a joy. I see this with my ex. If even in the slightest conversation, if she figures I'm uncomfortable, or if she, and especially with the shaming thing, the Cheshire smile after they shame you and you lower your head, and lowering your head is a sign of defeat and empathy. And once they get you to do that, look down at the ground. There goes that Cheshire smile.
Yeah. Yeah, and
It's
evil at times. It's been a while since I've confronted that, but
yeah,
I mean,
that's like the knife in the back. They hurt the pain that goes along with that that they extracted in the female filter. Uh, so we're beating a little off a topic. Where were we at with
yeah,
Igmore?
Warhorse. Yeah, I'm just looking at Warhorse comments there about that condition. It's called Schadenfreude.
Yeah, Schadenfreude. Did he spell it
Schadenfreude.
out?
There you go.
Oh, is Warhorse on the?
Yeah, no,
Oh,
he's in the chat room. He's throwing in a couple of tidbits there.
oh, okay, yeah, there he is. You know,
Yeah.
I was looking at the chats about 15 minutes ago, and I was like, oh, there's a whole new bunch of them now. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions? Anything from the chat room you guys want to get into?
Yeah, let's see who's got
Mhm.
who's got what going on. Minar Peoples is active. Carbon Unity, Turfling Monkey is structured his hangouts very well. I think you should keep up the kind of structure. So they're talking about the structure in the hangouts, and Shining does that very well. He regulates, and we've seen a good version of that last night.
Oh, that was perfect.
Yeah, Shining, because we always wanted to pull it back to Mgtow, and that's what this thing is. Sometimes we go off a topic, and we need to pull it back to Mgtow sometimes.
Hello.
Hey, Wars.
We
Hey.
have a Warhorse present.
Okay.
How's your morning? How you feeling?
Trying to pull my head out of my ass here. Schadenfreude. God damn it.
Schadenfreude, yeah.
Schaden. There's an N in there.
Schaden.
Schadenfreude?
Schaden. Yeah.
Schaden.
Schaden. To do damage.
To do damage.
Happiness. To
That's
do
it.
damage, happiness, or to be happy about somebody's damage.
Yeah, no, I'm seeing the conjugation of the two words there, Warhorse. That's
That's the term that
That's great.
you guys were looking for. I'm out there cleaning the barbecue grill, and I heard my name a couple times. So then I heard that the Schadenfreude pronounced incredibly wrong, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Let me go in and type it out real quick. Then I run back out, and then I hear you guys reading it, and you still didn't hit the end. And I'm like, all right, fuck this. I'm plugging in.
Yeah, we were talking about culture and everything, and in the hangout today, we started with culture, and we're trying to work it back always to that point. And you have a German culture behind you, and came to this country as a first gen. Are you?
No, actually, I'm still a German. Born and raised there. So I came here later on. First time when I was 8. So I'm not even a first gen.
Okay, yeah, and you had to experience some issues with the
put it mildly.
Being a little German boy in the Catholic school, was it?
Yeah, in a Polish Catholic school.
Oh, yes.
I was very popular, to put it mildly. At least popular for getting my ass kicked and hit with rulers and locked in closets by the nuns. So, I've been following along with you guys here. I had it playing in the background, but I've been running in and out and lighting a palm stump on fire and cleaning a barbecue grill and trying to get the house back into shape. So I've got the drift of what you guys were talking about so far.
Yeah.
Up to this
Now,
point.
I know Zeta wanted to go into the different cultures and white culture and how we do experience bigotry and bias. And it's often told to us that we don't know what it is because we can never experience it. And then most white people look up and go, oh, no, that's not really true because maybe you don't know the white culture and how we treat each other.
Well, look, I'm about as white as they get, but I certainly understand what you guys were talking about before. When you romanticize your culture and then expect to go into it full-heartedly and become part of it, it's almost impossible. And I'll give you an example. When I went back to Germany a year after I came to this country, now I was known by my friends, and these are all guys that I grew up with. from early childhood on that now referred to me as the Ummy or the American.
Oh.
And you know, when I went to this country, of course, I was a little Nazi, you know, and back and forth I went until I graduated high school. So every other year I was in a different country, and I was never really welcomed in either one, if you will. So, and every time you go back, even a year later, things change so drastically that it seems strange, and you have to acclimate all over again. And that takes a certain amount of time. So people that say, well, you know, I want to go back to my culture, my whatever that may be, if you're not living it your entirety, it's more than likely a romance that you have in your own head, you know, of what you perceive it to be. So, you know, race aside, I think this happens to everybody. And of course, you know, I can't speak for anybody else, you know, especially being that I'm a white European, so I can only look at things from my point of view. But I can somehow relate to that type of cultural change.
Right. There is a relate. We can relate, and it's often said that we can't, but we can. And there's probably a certain blend of Americans that have been, you know, 6th generation, 7th generation American that are so used to being American that they can't relate anymore. And that's what you brought up about losing that uniqueness about us. And I experienced that with myself. I lost a brogue. I talk American. I talk Northern Ohio, you know, with the Northern Ohio accent, and we were forced to do that, and to get along, to be like everybody else, and so we can see it, and what we've experienced. As Zeta was interested in the Irish thing, and I think it's a lot like being the German thing. After the war, and you came in during the McCarthy era, didn't you?
Yeah, and here's the thing too is, you know, of course you don't realize it as a child or anything, or even a teenager, but eventually what you do is you take the best of whatever worlds you're presented with and that you have at your disposal, and you take those things that you enjoy out of all of them that you can. You know, I consider myself to be more American. Of course, you know, I served in the U.S. Air Force. I'm a naturalized U.S. citizen. But, you know, as far as my thought processes and my outlook go, it's more American than German, by all means.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, but I still reminisce about the old times in Germany and things like the real Oktoberfests over there and Ernte Dank and, you know, all these things, even the way we celebrated Christmas back in those days. You know, it was such a different environment that you take the best and you leave the rest. You know, it's the best way to go through it. Whether that's Irish descent, and my late wife, you know, she was Irish, and I mean, not 100%, but you know, whatever. And she had a lot of that cultural Irish in her and things she did. So there's good things to be enjoyed, but you know, when you start becoming too dramatic and too drastic as to your outlook being only one way, be it from whatever country or even whatever race, I think you're doing yourself and everybody else a disservice by looking at it from that lens.
Gonna go see you guys. You know, so Shiny has checked out, and he's got something to do. And I think that it's important to your message there to the Black Mgtows, the Ibmors that are oversensitized. I can understand being oversensitized and being passionate, and I know from my grandfather's time, he fought in the uprising of 1916, and then he was chased from our country, and then he had to go around the world before he landed here. He always tried to oversensitize us to the Irish plight, and he always tried to put that in our minds what it is. So I know what it is, but being here in America, I want to take the best that I want to live the best life that's offered me, and I want to grab at it, and I want to make the best of that. And I think that's the best advice that I could possibly give, or what you said
Well,
there
you
about.
know, it's not only that, but I think a lot of people live too much in the past, you know, and
Yeah,
becoming hypersensitive is part of that past, which no longer affects people in this day and age in this time. You know, whether look, I get along with the English, I get along with the Russians, I get along with a lot of people. I get along with blacks, I get along with Puerto Rico. I mean, you name it. Of course, there's negatives in every crowd, but for the most part, I treat everybody equally, and I don't hold grudges for a past that I had nothing to do with.
Yeah.
The Nazis. Of course, my grandfather flew in a Luftwaffe, but that doesn't give me any right to say, "Hey, look, we were right, supreme, white power, bullshit, all this crap," right? I don't want to live in those days, and I don't take offense to anybody. The Russians came and did horrible things to the Germans after the war, and look what happened after the First World War. That's what brought Germany into it. And who am I to hold a grudge about that? I had no involvement at all.
right.
Should I be pissed at all these people, or should they be pissed at me? And some of them would, I would venture to say, well, he's a German, fuck him. Little Nazi bastard. Okay, fine. If that's the way you want to live your life, you're wasting your life with the anger, put towards somebody that had no control over that situation or even any input. I wasn't even alive during the Second World War.
Yeah.
So give me a break. And this is the same thing. The black thing is the slavery. Let's get real, man. I mean, if your great-great-grandfather was a slave, maybe he was, and what effect does have on you nowadays with your current situation? Right. Just like mine has no effect. And of course, Second World War was just, 15 years before I was born. And so basically, I'd have even more of a right to hold a grudge or to feel sorry for something I did. It's like the what do you call it? The payment that Germany's got going towards the Jews now. I'm sorry that happened. I really am. It was fucked up. But I didn't do it, man. I didn't light the ovens. I didn't hurt anybody up, and I don't owe you damn shit. And I'm sorry, but I think people just got too hypersensitive with this back and forth racial shit, and sometimes I think people really believe in their own head that everybody's out to get them that isn't in their little tiny circle.
Yeah.
It's just nuts, man. I don't get it, and unfortunately, it keeps people divided. Once, and we all judge people by the way they look, the way they talk or dress, or by the color of their skin. So we judge people right off the bat. But I think after a while, we need to grow as a people, and learn not to quite succumb to that initial judgment, even though we're going to, by human nature, do it. You see an Asian guy, you think, oh, he's smart. Of course, right? That's the first thing that comes to mind because it's a generalization.
It's a generalization.
But until you actually, you talk to the guy and find out what he's all about, you may change your opinion. But if you've already formulated an opinion and then don't engage, how will you ever know?
Right. We experience this in Mgtow because we're trying to bring people in, and what we're trying to do is bring blue pill men. It was a very pertinent question in the forum and the threads. Azrael Abandon says, how do you deal with advice? How do you deal with blue pill men and the headaches that they give you? It's the same thing in Mgtow that we deal with every day. We're trying to get a hold of these blue pill men. We're trying to change the way they think, and they have a bias to us. They're bigoted towards Mgtows, and the first thing they throw out is, "Are you gay?" or are you this? Why don't you like women? And we're trying to explain to them that the ideology of Mgtow and how it could help their lives and how their lives will be more fulfilling if they start living for themselves. But they reject it. How do you deal with that rejection?
Well,
That
look, it's not that. It's some people just don't want to be saved, or at least not
yeah
right now. You know, they may in the future come around, and you can talk until you're blue in the face. I mean, we've been going through this with religion. We've been going through it with,
yeah
everything else culturally and what have you. So some people just don't want to be saved. And by the way, on that topic, and I'm not plugging the guy here, but Spetsnaz put out a new video today
oh
that
yeah
hits on that pretty good. It's an excellent video, and I would recommend anybody who wants to follow up on this thought pattern to watch that also. He can put it so much more eloquently than I ever could. But there's the problem that if people don't want to be saved, let them go out there and make their own mistakes. Let them do what they want. Let them live their life the way they want. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as they aren't interfering with the rest of everybody's lives.
right yeah I think the introduction of empathy he was talking about a little bit in the question about I got from the thread as I read through the threads was the question somebody said that he was just using, and this is the sensitized rage out Mgtows was saying, well, you're still saying man up. And he wasn't saying man up. He was saying find the courage, find the strength to help yourself.
Well, there's
And
nothing wrong with inherently being a man.
yeah,
Having the male nature. We talk about the female nature, and he did too, that it isn't inherently evil. It is just that it's just nature, and they're not even actively knowing that they're acting upon that nature. As we as men have a certain nature, whether it's becoming somewhat aggressive or argumentative or what have you, it's part of our inherent masculinity.
yeah,
Therefore, why not just embrace that and say, okay, well, man up as a figurative term, not as a shaming term.
no,
So what's wrong with that? Okay, we are men. We have a penis. We have a
man.
scrotum where we have the male hormones and everything. I mean, so act like one.
Yeah,
I don't see a problem with that. I really don't. I don't take it offensively. Now, if a woman tells me that in an argument,
oh, it's a
then I
shaming
know
thing.
she's using it as shaming language. If
Right.
another man tells me, then I will have to think twice and reconsider how that was meant and why it was said.
Yeah. What I always say is I'm not asking permission to be a man anymore. I'm just going to be a man, and it goes along with when these blue pill men say man up. I'm going to man up, and most certainly and for sure about that. But it's not going to be the way they want me to man up. I'm going to man up the way I'm going to man up, and that's going to be a real Mgtow, a real aggressive way. And
Right.
that's when they get all butt hurt, and they're just, oh, what's that all about? You're so violent, and you're so violent in your nature. No, it's not about. It's just about me being masculine, and he doesn't understand that he just said something real offensive to me, because he doesn't understand, and it's the same thing with bigotry, isn't it? He doesn't understand how he's being bigoted towards his other fellow man, and how he's and Turd Flinging Monkey will tell you it's about sexual dimorphism and men sizing up on other men and trying to dominate the other man. And it's all a mating strategy. And what the blue pill male is saying, he's involving a mating strategy all the time when there should be a conversation and there should be some brotherhood, but he's sizing up on us. And
Well,
it's always
it's not only a mating strategy. I think it's a typical male
yeah,
way of acting. Look at the corporate ladder, if you will. Look at how many guys step on other guys' heads to get up the ladder a little bit, and
sure, we
will
see
go
it a
through
lot.
other people. I think we do this. We're in competition constantly. Look at any type of the sports. It's all men against men. Even drag racing. It's mostly men. Very rarely do you see a woman drag racing. we're highly competitive in nature. So, of course, it would stand to follow that when pursuing reproductive avenues, that we're going to be highly competitive too. I think it's a small portion of why we become so competitive with each other. And this is what leads to the distrust, because we're not all sitting around singing Kumbaya, my friend, holding hands and saying, yeah, we're such a great brotherhood and we love you. You know, when the chips come down to it, we'd all stab each other in the back to survive, or to, you know, find something, I don't know how to put this, but a better way or what have you. You know, this is just our nature. I don't think it's anything that we do intentionally.
Yeah,
It's
and
just a difference.
we do have the thing about the beta male and the alpha male, and the beta male is going to have to acquiesce to it, you know, and that was a big problem. He says acquiescing to a man is very hard. It's a very thing to do, but after the competition is over, you see this in English sport, where the losing soccer team will just kind of bow and say, yes, you've beaten me, and but today you've beaten me today. But when it comes from the gynocentric and we're asked to acquiesce to the gynocentric, that's what we're talking about. And we never want to see a man, alpha, beta, zeta, whatever you relate to acquiesce to that gynocentrism.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we do have, you know, I've remembered back in my 20s, I've gotten into a couple bar fights. I mean, more than a couple, but a couple that I got into was, you know, where we both should have been in a hospital. Instead, we buy each other a beer afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, this is the kind of lunatic shit that happens amongst us. And, you know, we had all intentions on killing each other, you know, to begin with.
Just
so,
a couple of minutes ago, now we're best friends. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it best friends, but
Yeah.
we certainly buried the hatchet. We got the proof sticking in our head. But it is a strange paradigm, if you will, that we have, and being aware of it and utilizing it, and not trying to make it something else, I think, is what's important here. And you know, when, like I said, this whole yeah, the brotherhood, it's a great thing to talk about, and it's a great feeling to have, and we can certainly work on it. But you know, the reality of it is that it's an ever-changing dynamic.
Right.
And we will change our opinion, even with one another. You know, we could be the best of friends, and after a while, we'll just drift apart.
That's nature.
Yeah, but and look, pointing out women's nature, if you will, the scorpion and the frog story. You know, pointing that out to people that aren't aware of it is a good thing. But moving forward is also a good thing, you know, as to how can we somewhat help each other, do what we can, support each other without being too melodramatic about it.
Yeah, and it is about your own health, driving yourself. If you, it's like you know, you pull out of a parking lot and someone cuts you off, and then you vent on them for like a 30-second vent, and then he drives away that way, and then you're driving, he's 2 miles away. If you're still bitching at that guy, if you're still yelling, if you're you know who the only person you're hurting is yourself. Yeah.
But we've all done that, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean,
but
I've come home and screamed at my dog because some guy pissed me off on the road, you know?
Yeah,
and then I feel bad for my dog.
Right.
You know, and but yeah, you hold that anger for a while and you want to release it, but you can't. You know,
you can't.
I mean, I wouldn't kick my dog. I wouldn't hit him or do anything like that. So what do? You yell, and you know, you got the blood flowing in your head. This is something. It's a good thing, actually. you know, you
Yeah,
need
it's a
to
good
you
thing.
need to
Yeah.
blow off that steam occasionally.
Yeah, how do we blow off our steam when we're these testosterone-filled men that and keep it in the confines of the society we have to live in, because we have to watch ourselves. We can't hit people, and we can't dominate people, and we can't do those things that society in general finds abhorrent that men do. So we have to find these little ways to just blow off a little steam, and that's important. Masculinity, going to the gym, finding healthy outlets to do these things is important, and that's what we talk about all the time here. It always seems to come back to that health and science issue, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, but I think also that sometimes it just has to be raw emotional outlet.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, not that confined or constrained.
Oh,
The
yeah.
workout, you know, yeah, you can work yourself into a tizzy where you can't even lift your arms anymore, but you still feel something
You
churning
still feel
inside you that
pent up.
needs to,
Yeah,
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 that's something that needs to get out there. And
yeah,
this is where I think it comes in what you guys talked about earlier, and we've talked about it before, is the male spaces. Um,
yeah,
you know, when obviously I hang around a different crowd than most people do, so sometimes there's an outlet there of a certain danger, even that I might get seriously hurt or killed if I go too far. But I know that going too far is almost as exciting and having fun as it is dangerous. And that, for me, is available whenever I want it. So, you know, and not very many people have that anymore because they're dealing with polite society all day
right.
long. And this is where the outlet needs to come in. So, something needs to give, and that might be a good topic or a good thing to start concentrating on. Is where do we find these outlets? You know, I mean,
Yeah,
everybody
and
can't join a motorcycle club. Okay, that's not
right.
going to happen. So
It's it,
there are different venues. I just don't know what they are. I've chosen
yeah,
mine, and I don't. You know, I'm not with a club anymore, but you know, I can still go around. So there needs to be other venues, and I'm sure better minds than mine can come up with a few.
right. Yeah, you said uh, uh, sometimes it's as all that anger looks like a huge thing to people, and it looks like a huge thing to you, but sometimes it's just being able to say the smallest thing in a conversation with another man, and all that vents out, and it's like, you know what happened to me today? This happened to me, and then after a 22-second chat with another man, all that's gone. You resume your regular stress levels, and
Right.
it's healthy. But we're not allowed to do that anymore in society, and it's not that we're not allowed to do it, and that's a part of Spaznik's video. We've chosen not to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, the constraints and the problems that arise because every word that you utter in public is being monitored and
Yeah.
put under a microscope and scrutinized to the utmost, and God forbid that somebody within earshot is offended.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
you know, that goes for both men and women. Of course, the women are a little bit more vocal about being offended. But nevertheless, you know, it goes for men too. And sometimes you get tired of moderating yourself.
right.
And
Yeah, for
you know,
sure.
this is why I say that there needs to be a place where you can feel that you don't need to moderate yourself. You can speak completely freely, go off the deep end. I mean, take the high board into the empty swimming pool if you like.
Yeah,
It's your life. Go ahead, have fun, get it out of your system, and be done with it. Like you said, you know, 30 seconds later, a minute later, after you've let all that out, you're feeling quite normal again and able to deal with people in a polite fashion, if you will.
yeah, and it's about manliness, and hey, Mgtow Rising's climbing a mountain as we speak. That's what he's doing for himself. I don't know if that helps him. He's a young man. He climbs the mountain. He feels like he defeated something. He defeated that mountain, and we all need those mountains to climb. From the oldest man to the youngest man, sometimes we just need to defeat something. If it's not such a, even if it's something as small as a video game, you know, or a sporting event, or ping pong, you know.
And how about paneling a house?
Paneling a house, right?
To come up.
Yeah, the sheer enjoyment.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, but I am at war with, I mean, battle axe in hand and armor on. I am at war with the walls in this house. So, yeah, but there again, it's an outlet. You know, it's a different outlet, of course, than you know, a lot of people would be looking for. Nobody would do this intentionally to themselves unless you're me. But you know, yes, it's doing it for nobody but myself. And Messenger climbing that mountain is doing that for him.
Yeah,
It's
because
for himself, you know, and he wants to share it with other men.
Well, that's just it. He is doing it for himself, Warhorse, but he's definitely sending a message out too as well. And one of the offshoots about what he's doing is really opening up a door. What other activities, such as what Messenger is doing, can we come up with? You know, and help us. You know.
Yeah. Yep. You find you haven't at our age, me or you or Zeta, we're probably not going to go climb a mountain. Even though I used to like to do that, I used to like to climb a lot, and I found that you know, there's some certain damage that comes along with the jumps and the and the emotional highs and the physical activity. But yeah, now at my age, I can't do that. So a lesser activity can be helpful. And if it's just as much as going out into I got my old army bag hanging in the garage, and it's got my old army stuff in there and everything. You know what I use it for? I use it for a punching bag.
Yeah. Oh, it's perfect. Just fill it up with sand or what have you, and off you go, man. It's perfect.
Yeah, I rarely sit there and do the full routine. Once in a while, when I'm mad or when something doesn't go my way or when I spill my coffee all over me, I go out to the garage and I look at it, and I just whack it a few times.
Yeah, and I bet if you have a good workout on the bag, after you're done 10 minutes of just letting it all out, look at how nice you feel. Look at how good you feel afterwards, man. And that's the part I remember when I was doing bag training. Footnote, guys, I just sent Nico our links, so we can expect him any minute now.
Okay, Nico's home. Long drive, I bet, for him. He's had a busy travel session in his last week.
Yeah.
Well, they've been hammering him about the fapping thing, haven't they?
Yeah. I know that. I really put something out there. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I saw that too. And
yeah, we know what Nico wants to punch a hole in.
Yeah, I couldn't keep my mouth shut in the comments section either. I had to hammer on him a little bit.
Yeah, and he's a young man.
Having a hard time joining in here, guys. I'm just working with him right now. He's on the wrong account there.
Yeah, I put the link in the with Shining's page on the G+, so it should be a link there on the bottom.
Yeah, I'll duplicate it there too as well. There we go.
Yeah, but there is a difference between all of us, and Nico's a young man, and he needs to vent in a different way. And I'm in my 50s now, and Zeta's in his 50s, and Warhorse, you're not going to climb any mountains right now. I know that, but so we do it in a different, acceptable way that matches our age, our maturity, the way our bodies feel, and like we were talking about this earlier. I went to a ball game the other day. I walked around probably a couple. You know, the stadiums are huge, you know, and I walked a couple extra miles, and I did my daily walk, and then I did a few extra things, and by the end of my third day, I was feeling. You reminded me, God, I was feeling beat up. I was feeling like I overdid it a little bit, but. Now I look at myself after a little bit of sleep, and I'm very happy with I did it, because maybe I should push that to another level next week. You know.
Yeah, it's sense of accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and from the littlest things. There's Nico.
Yeah, it can be. Hey, Nico.
Hello.
Hello, Nico.
Ah, fuck.
There are no penis jokes.
Yeah, here goes the comment jokes.
I heard about my fopping thing. So, funny thing is, let's not speak about where I come from. But funny thing is, I booked a ticket and I went back home. Then apparently I could fap. Who knew?
Oh, no.
Who knew? And I went to a fucking family home. So, mother, brother, sister, father, tiny rooms. Fuck.
Oh.
Fuck. Right. But yeah, I'm back. I need to buy some candlelight, some lube.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play
you
some
need to-
Lionel Richie. And
Lionel Richie. Oh God.
One of those
Very,
vessels.
oh fuck. Very white. How's that?
Very
white.
white.
Very white.
Yeah, now there's some good makeout music there. Very.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
very
Except
white.
When I lay down next to you, I can't do the voice, man.
Whatever it might be, it will be me making love to myself. I've missed.
Oh my God. That's funny. Oh, yeah, you might get a call from one of your girlfriends or a friend,
I
and
did everyone.
you can punch a hole in that.
Not everyone. There is one still laying around. The crazy one. She's
The
gone.
crazy one. She's gone now. Okay.
I'm gonna make a video about her. I think she deserves a video and a half in herself.
Video.
Will nudity be involved?
No, but I have the goods.
Yeah, you have all the information on her.
Looking forward to it then.
Yeah, I'm trying to promote positive content. Positive content. Me masturbating will be the most positive content people would hear all week.
Nico, never say masturbating and content in the same sentence.
What's
It's
happening
really-
when I do that? Masturbating content, masturbating content, masturbating
Oh
content.
God!
masturbating content.
The mental image I'm getting is just not real copacetic. Actually, my beer tastes funny now.
I miss doing this to Warhorse.
Your taste funny now.
And when I went back home, I was drinking this shitty ass Lidl beer. Lidl from Lidl. Do you know what Lidl is?
Little. No.
It's a really shitty German shop, right? Which sells really, really cheap beer, which has a bunch of like E numbers next to it. Put it in the freezer, get it out while it's still like fucking cold, open it, 25 CLs of absolute pleasure. I didn't care what I was drinking. It costs less than 50p a bottle.
Oh, really? Oh, so you just take that, get it cold, and then chug it down, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Just
beautiful
like
thing.
that.
Yeah, the first beer is always the best beer. You can chug that one down in about 2 seconds. And I always make the mistake when I go to the bar is I order one beer, and then I chug that down, and by the time the barmaid leaves and she's working on the other side, I'm already done and trying to wave her down. Like, no, I wanted two.
So what were you guys discussing? I'm really sorry. I mean, all I got was a message from Shining that my presence was required.
Okay. Oh, required. Yeah. We were looking forward to seeing you today. You missed the last two hangouts, and I know you were apologetic about that last time, and you were looking forward to coming in the room. We were talking about the regular men's health topics, but we were talking about the Ibmore thing, and I know you had some it was irritating for you a little bit last night, and then there was some.
You realize?
Yeah, there was a little irritation. There was a little coming to terms with what they were saying, and there was that whole thing. And we were talking about Spaznik's idea of his latest video. That's what we were just talking about. The courage, find courage as a man to have the strength. It's not man up. You're just finding courage as a man to have the strength to say the things that needed to be said.
Right, and
that goes back to
also he put to the kind of what I was thinking of. He mentioned it in the last minute, and I kind of cussed him under my breath because I was thinking about putting that in the comments, is to look in the mirror. You know, that we need to look at ourselves first, who's allowing these things to happen, and that we need to take more responsibility. In a nutshell, I mean, I don't want to ruin the whole damn video, but, you know, Spetsnaz and how he comes across and how he does things, so it's unfair for me to try to put that in a nutshell, really.
Yeah,
So,
I really like that video. I don't know, did no one else like it other than me?
I loved it because it was the flat truth about, you know, women aren't doing these things to us anymore. You know what's doing it to us? Our empathy, our apathy, us not taking charge, us not being the patriarchy no more, us not being men.
I've been talking about this shit for a long time. You know how good I felt just before I flew off. That's the only thing I did before I left the country. I listened to that video, and I even listened to terms and things that I've mentioned and I used in my videos, and I'm like, oh, he's actually watching me. So it's nice to have someone that agrees that people listen to, because I know not many people listen to me as many as they listen to him, at least. So it felt very good. It felt very good.
Yeah,
and he did push the envelope on to us.
Yeah, it's
and
our
I think
responsibility.
He used a lot better words than me.
Yeah, it's our responsibility to grab the reins here as men and push this thing back into where we want it. And if there's empathy in the room, that's toxic, and it brings down other men. It brings down us as men, and we don't get things achieved anymore. But it is ultimately the male responsibility to bring back the patriarchy.
Right, and that's, you know, the point I made weeks ago too, is when I asked the question, whose fault is that? You know, when people were bitching about what women did to them and this and that, I kept saying, and whose fault is that? Who let that happen? I never get an answer. You know, and he brought that up in this video, and I loved it too, by the way. You know, I thought it was spot on. So it needs to be said. It really does.
Yeah, no, the way it's our...
I think what, because Mate was there and he was making comments underneath, and he was saying that it's like he's throwing the blame back to us, and he's not throwing the blame back to us. He's not blaming you for what she did. He's blaming you for allowing that to happen time and time again. I mean, the first time it happens, okay. All right, the second time it happens, I mean, maybe you should have thought a bit better. But from the third time onwards that this woman has been abusing you, it must be slightly your fault, because she's obviously not going to change. Then why the fuck are you still there?
Right. Yeah, that was the big thing. Women aren't going to change until they're forced to change. But who's going to force them? We are. And call it what you want. Call it aggression. Call it force. Call it you know, dimorphism, or think about it scientifically. But we are the only group that can do that for ourselves. And this empathy's got to go. And we can relate this to the Ibmore thing, and say, listen, looking to white people to fix your problems is not going to work. And I think they've accepted that. If you want to find the strength, you'll have to find it in yourself to change things for yourself. And, you know, it just becomes logical, because if you're out there letting men beat you up all the time and letting women beat you up, you know, be the beta male and let that happen, but the alpha is not going to do it. Be the ape. That's what I'm saying. Be the ape and dominate your space. And it doesn't take a lot. You don't have to be 6'8", 300 pounds to do that. The Turd-flinging monkey just says, you know, look at Steve Jobs. He wasn't the dimorphic male that the football player, the soccer player, the athlete. He used his brains to do that. And there's a different type of sexual dimorphism in that. There's a different type of alpha male, and we can all do this. Every single one of us can aspire to be better men, and feel better about yourself, and feel better about what you put out there and how you affect this world. And if we all start affecting this world a little bit more, 10 times. I say, you want to be Mgtow 10 times more. Be
Man,
Mgtow 10 times harder.
I've been talking to a lot of people since I was on holidays, because summers are actually, well, summers where I went, they're boiling, right? Fuck. So during the middle of the day, I would just hide in my room, turn the air conditioning on. So I had some time to talk to a lot of people, and I've spoken to, for example, CS Mgtow. Man, that guy, he's awesome, right? He's awesome, and he thinks outside the box. He's finding solutions for men. He's finding positives that are out there, and maybe people can try out if they want to have a family or whatever, right? There is he invites people who are very knowledgeable. I'm pretty sure he'll be doing a hangout. I'm not sure if he will be live or whether it is live right now, with Stardusk and what was it? God, fuck, an EvoPsych professor. So they were going to talk about evolutionary psychology and all that. So that will also be put down to rest afterwards. So that's what we need to start doing. Start involving people that know what the fuck they're talking about. And I think this is heading very, like, I don't know why I woke up today. I got a bit of sleep maybe on the plane. I got a bit of sleep before I went on the plane. Now I feel very optimistic about things.
Yeah, well, that's what the holiday was about, getting back to a better sense of optimism, was it? Because we were losing our optimism there as Mgtows, and we were losing the fight a little bit. We get empathetic ourselves, or apathetic ourselves, and we have to cure those things real fast in this plight that we search for as Mgtows, because this is our job. You know, this is our second job.
Joe, here's the problem, though. Occasionally, all of us will suffer from burnout or close to burnout. And instead of, once you go to full-blown burnout, you'll never return. You know,
don't let it get that far.
Well, yeah, but that's a juggling act. You know, with chainsaws, really.
Yeah, it is.
If you go at it all the time, nonstop, and never take a breather from it, you're going to burn out, and then you're useless. At that point, you're nothing anymore. You're of no use to anybody. You're of no help. You're of nothing. So taking a breather here and there, you know, for a couple weeks or maybe even a month, whatever it takes, to feel normal again. Because you can get immersed into this whole Mgtow thing and you know, anti-feminist and you can drive yourself crazy with it and find yourself on the fringe, and at that point you no longer see the world through clear lenses. You know, they're colored so badly that it's a kaleidoscope at this point, and your mind can't take that.
That's right.
So it's always good to check out for however long you need to, and go on with different things. In other words, go ahead and let life get in the way.
Yeah, with the holiday thing with Nico, the more you do this, the more you learn about your body, the more you learn about the male mind and how you react to things like this. It's a learning process. What you're doing is you're imprinting the method on your brain of how to cure this real fast. And then it becomes, every time you go through it, you're going to learn a little more about the burnout and how you can get back from that burnout. And you're printing a little more on your brain. And it becomes very natural. The longer you're around here, the more natural it's going to become rebounding from these things. Do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree.
Well,
look at the big guys, man. The RBK, etc. Spetsnaz takes a long time between videos. They need to, you know, get back to reality.
Yeah,
well,
the faster
the thing is that when I think most men are like this, that when we become very passionate about something, we pursue that passion in overdrive, and we become almost manic about pursuing the passion, and then find that it's burned you out or ruined your passion to the point of hating it. You know, you can overdo something to that point, and that goes for being involved in this entire I don't know what you want to call it, manosphere thing, you know, the Mgtow thing or what have you. And once you become this manic and you're on autopilot, like a lot of these guys are, they're on autopilot anymore,
Right. Yeah.
and they still think they're passionate about it, but they've lost all concept of the basics. You know, you got to get back to the basics of what it is we're trying to accomplish as an individual, and then as a group to help the individuals along that path.
Absolutely, and I think it's very important, since we, in a way, content producers at least, on occasion do get burned out as well. We need to realize it among ourselves, take some time off, and then try to come up with a message that makes sense, and it makes sense to us.
Right. Yeah, we're not paid entertainers here.
Yeah.
You know, even though we're YouTube, you know, it's kind of a media, a television media, if you will, or what have you. It's very visual and audio, and after a while you become almost like you're a paid celebrity, you know, if you get a fair amount of followers, subscribers, whatever. And you know, you feel this need to push on, to keep doing your job. And I think, you know, as men, of course, we're always bound to that duty. And this is what will eventually hurt us more in the long run, feeling bound to this, because it's not a job. You're not getting paid for it. It's not your duty. You're not the only one doing it. There's a ton of other people doing it. Let them go ahead and run with it for a while and see where it takes you. You know, there's no fault in doing that.
Can I share with you guys a little gem story from that also needs to go on a video, but a little gem story from back home. I went there and I was visiting a couple of friends of mine. I'm not going to give any names or be specific about anything. Okay. They were together for 6 years, both of them friends of mine. I mean, the girl was a friend of mine first, but the guy became more of a friend than she did after some time. I was seeing him particularly. I was always visiting him whenever I was going back. So this guy was living in another country, was at my country for holidays, and as soon as he met this girl, he started to like her. Me and another friend of mine, you know, got to know the guy. We really liked him. Then he visited her in the UK. Right, because she was studying also in the UK when I was, right? Okay. He started working there while she was studying, and they were in the UK, I think, for a year and a bit. They eventually moved back home, and they started a life there. My male friend, he found a job, but she couldn't find a job. Therefore, she moved back in the UK. The whole thing, they had 2 years of long-term relationship and a couple of years of, you know, back and forth and stuff like that. Last year, he asked her to marry him. She wasn't sure. I mean, she wasn't sure for a year and a half. I mean, all the time that she spent away from him, she wasn't sure whether she was still in love with him, right? So when I went back, my friend told me that the wedding was kind of like postponed. And then my male friend called me and he told me, look, we should meet up, we should have a chat about this. So I sat down and I was talking to him and I was explaining, you know, what was going on inside his girlfriend's, his fiance's head at the time. And that the things that he was describing to me it was quite apparent that she was no longer interested. She was seeing him as a friend that she didn't want to hurt as much. Therefore, this was dragging on and on unnecessarily. Then I met up with a female friend of mine. right? Because she also wanted to meet up with me and chat and see what was what. So I sat her down, and we know each other for 9 years, something like that. And we speak a lot, and we discuss a lot of things. Mainly how her brain works is what we discuss about. And we sat down, and I told her, look, my friend, you fell in love with him once, but you know, women do not fall in love with who a person is, but rather they fall in love with the image of the person, with what that man portrays, what that man is in your eyes. You don't fall in love with who he is. And once that person starts showing his real self, his vulnerabilities, his problems, everything that's going on, you instantly lose interest in him. And she said, you know, no, I would care, I would want to go and visit him, see him, try and sort things out. I'm like, yes, of course you would. He is a person that you care about. But at that moment, at that very moment, you stop feeling as much attraction towards him. Is that not true? And she said, yeah, that's true. And once that image in your head is ruined, right, that he's no longer the man that you thought he was, then you still keep him around, especially for months, and you still might have sex with him every now and then, but it's just not the same. It feels like you're almost forced to have sex with him because of the promises that you've made before. It's as if that man that you were sleeping with is no longer that man. She's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's because you don't fall in love with the man. You don't fall in love with the person. You fall in love with the image of a person. You fall in love with what someone is rather than who he is. She stopped, paused, sat back for a couple of minutes, and she told me, you're right. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And she might be the first female I've encountered that I've had a chat like this with that admitted to this, admitted to the nature of the beast, admitted to how she feels attracted to people.
Oh, it's the Red Queen.
Sorry?
The Red Queen.
Meaning?
The Red Queen.
Yeah, I know what the Red Queen.
Yeah, she keeps on running. She's still running, and she's still doing the Red Queen thing. And she finds him not attractive now. And but continue, please.
So we sat down. We discussed a lot of things. She admitted to me to no longer being in love. She admitted to no longer being attracted to this person. She even explained to me that she was drinking at times because she knew she needed to have sex with my friend, and it almost felt as if, you know, at times it was a bit revolting, let's say.
Yeah.
Right? And I understood that. I knew that it was going down that road. And after following the chats that I had with them, I think both of them broke up. So the wedding is off now.
Oh. Okay.
My friend has been introduced to the Mgtow content. I'm gonna try and keep providing him with some content just so that he doesn't go completely depressed or suicidal or whatever, because he is a sensitive guy at the end of the day. And yeah, and she just needs to go her own way. He needs to go his own way, and whatever happens, happens. I mean, I told them from the beginning that I didn't believe in the idea of marriage. Yeah, Eric is saying money looks status. Yeah, it's not that. It's not. You see, sometimes I think that we oversimplify things, and that's why I think that pickup artists can emulate things very well. So they can emulate money, they can emulate the looks, and they can emulate the behavior of someone with a higher status. So you can get a woman attracted to you. But vulnerability, emotions, all of these things, for a man, they need to be under control within a relationship. It's not that he lost any money, he's making more money, he's not looking bad, he's looking better than ever. But in her eyes, he no longer has the potential for a higher status. That's because in her eyes, he appeared weak. And weak men don't go far in life.
Yeah. Or at least her perception of a
Her
weakness is.
perception, of course, that's all perception. I
Yeah,
know
it's all.
he's not weak, but in her eyes, he's weak. The image that she had, just imagine of like a glass painting almost. It just shattered,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's it.
What's going to be great to watch now is if you. Ooh, are we echoing? Yeah, we're echoing. What's going to be great to watch now is what you feed him, the Mgtow value, what he learns from that.
Mm.
And watch him grow. And if he makes it through this thing okay, he'll probably get into another relationship, and she's going to see that. He may get into it, or he might start acting like Nico, and then that would make her crazy, wouldn't it?
Well, you see, my friend, she sat down. I told her I don't want relationships. I'm not interested in relationships. I have sex with women. Maybe I will keep a woman around for like a couple of months, but I'm not going to live with her in any way. I don't think I will ever have a family and all this. But I was speaking to her with such certainty, and she just told me, you know what, Nico, you look like you're centered. Like you know what you want. You know what you're going for. And that's it. You look like you've thought about these things in length. She obviously didn't know anything about the channel. She didn't know what I was doing. She didn't know I was a Mgtow or what Mgtow meant or anything like that. But for her, like my attitude to life, for her that was attractive. It was as if I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
It's almost funny.
Well, kind of like women will date or fuck around with a married man. It's not quite as intimidating to them, and they know they hold the upper hand when it comes to not investing too much emotionally into the relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she friend zoned him for a while, and he doesn't get that.
Yeah, well, I told him, and I explained to him, I'm like, look, the behavior that she has right now, the fact that she cares, the fact that you're thinking things are getting better because you're getting the friendship that you're seeking from that relationship, that's not a woman that wants to fuck you.
Yeah.
That's a woman who has friend zoned you.
Yeah. Do you think if he gets the Mgtow philosophy, he'll become more attractive to her, and then she might have a flip?
Well, definitely, but
Yeah.
I don't think he will be attracted to her anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not going to be, and the best. We hear this a lot. The best revenge is doing good, and as you're, they're obviously both your friends, and you like to see them both do good. But there's a certain little itch probably in you to make him do better, so it can be visual.
Well, I know he'll be fine.
Yeah.
I know he'll be fine. He's a survivor. He knows how to go about things. He always finds a job. Whenever he moved in, whatever country, he found a job making loads of money. He spends absolutely no money because he has skills in areas that benefit him.
Okay.
So he always manages to survive, and he invests his money as well. So he's actually what women would call a catch, right?
Yeah. That's odd that she doesn't see that, and well,
she spent so many years with him.
Go figure. Yeah, go figure. How do you explain a woman?
No, the reason that men do not become catches, like they move away from that idea that a woman might have in her head, is because we've been told time and time again that if you want to show your vulnerability, your emotions, whatever, you need to speak to a woman. Only a woman will understand you.
Oh yeah. It's the mental health thing. You have to display female characteristics to get any help.
Yeah, exactly. And that's not problematic to an extent, but if you're in a relationship, it is a death wish to be acting like that. It shouldn't be like that, but this is how things are.
Yeah, I think I know what you're saying, because I have seen that in my relationship, when it ended with my wife, what she's seen is me begging, and it came off as vulnerability. And the more I tried to keep her, the less she wanted me.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
it's
Maybe.
things that everyone in the manosphere has been observing. But yeah. Well, if I manage to turn that guy into a Mgtow,
Yeah.
I'll be very happy.
Oh yeah. You know what? I look at her now, and she's a woman now, and I've learned that my Mgtow experience has brought me to. I wouldn't even date her now. She's not a woman that I would find attractive. My whole experience in life, my whole perception of a woman that I would date has become much, much more than just that. And maybe it told a lot about my insecurities and about my the red pill or the blue pill in me had made me into the unattractive beta male. And yeah, I can see what you're saying. But that's what.
For me, do you remember that Spetsnaz video? Oh man, I'm trying to find it. That he was talking about himself and how he has a woman that he's attracted to, right? A particular type of woman, and the attraction is mutual and stuff like that. And the male shame, that's the video where Spetsnaz talked about this. Yeah, it was as if he was talking about me. Oh, I have an echo. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, I don't know. Only when Joe is talking. Or well, I can hear myself now too.
Right, there's an echo.
So,
You're just picking up.
You got it because I shut my mic off.
Yeah, you can mute while you're not talking, and then you go back and forth. I noticed a lot of the guys have to go back and forth, mute when they're not talking, and unmute when they start talking, and it'll just be a queuing thing. We'll cue you in on that.
Yeah, it's something about open mic with open speakers. If you're on a headset, that doesn't happen. I don't know why. I just feedback.
Yeah. This is interesting. That we've all worked through these things in our life where we have to take a deep look at ourselves after we're done, and after we've worked a little red pill into us, and after we've worked that Mgtow, and it's almost that slap in the head moment. Like, oh man, I can't believe I acted like that. And I can't believe I was like that.
I think men, or we, and I did too, we overinvest emotionally into a relationship. And that's why we have such a problem when they go down the tubes. And look, I've seen my ex-girlfriends or what have you, chicks that I've lived with for months to maybe a year or what have you. Years later, when I've seen them, I'm like, oh my God, did I really do that? I mean, they've changed. Yeah, they've gotten a little older and what have you. But maybe I saw it coming too. I don't know if I was that. What do you call it? Able. I don't know if I was able to see that. And but when I did see him again, I was grateful, and then I kind of felt a little bit ashamed, like, oh my God, what did I ever see in that? So I wonder if women just see it a little bit sooner because they don't emotionally invest themselves quite as much as we do.
Can I say, I think women equally invest themselves in relationships, but it's easier for them to move on because it's part of the game. Can you imagine?
Right, yeah.
You need to find the right mate. You have a short span of time. In order to do it, you do it quickly. So it's a lot easier. It's in your programming to do that. And I'm reading here, Nico, inside a community, a man cannot go his own way. He's bound by rules, leaders, and road signs. Get rid of the word community. It is part of the prison that man has been living in. The word community promotes apathy. Someone will say and do something. I need not to move. Think.
Yeah, communities to some people represent the left, and I know the left is different in all countries, But it's that communal thing. It's that socialism. It's that the representation of health and human services. The Hillary Clinton thing. We all live in a community, and how that can be taken differently by other men. It's not a very Mgtow word when you use community, I suppose, but I use community a lot to describe us as men, as in a group.
I would rather use movement, but I
Yeah.
reach criticism.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Whatever word you use to describe Mgtow, it seems to be the hit point of the social justice warriors and just the people that want to troll us. Whatever word we use, they're going to attack.
Well, all these words are very limiting.
Yeah, they're
by
limiting.
their meaning itself. And I think the basis for Mgtow, if you will, would be no limits placed upon you, no hierarchy, no rules, no anything. Not apathy per se,
Yeah.
but no limits.
No limits,
which way you're going to go, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, or any of these things. So this is why anytime we use a term, or anybody uses a term, people tend to focus on the Webster meaning of that
dictionary,
term.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. It's meant in a much broader sense. Most people with any type of education understand that, but we do tend to focus on that, and sometimes it feels wrong just by the sheer nature of the type of definitive words, which I think we as men, being part of this mindset, philosophy, what have you, that we tend not to want to be restricted by any definitions.
Right, yeah, I can see it. And it means different things to different people depending on your political or your social outlook on life. It's I think I just did a video on being too literal in Mgtow. Sometimes there's a there's just a deeper there's a deeper meaning to what we're saying a lot. We're too literal, and then a lot of people are literal about things, and there's a deeper meaning to what we're providing, and one single word could never define Mgtow. There's 3, 4, 5 ideas that need to be linked, and you were talking about that a little while ago in one of your videos. You said I have 3, 4 ideas that you have to keep with this video. If you're a literal person, you're going to hinge on the first idea, and then you're never going to get the whole message. The figurative message.
But look at the diversity of all of us. We all perceive what we call individualism from different aspects of life, backgrounds and what have you. So how do you put that into a book, if you will?
Right.
I think it's beautiful, man. The fact that the 4 of us right now are sitting, discussing the same thing, caring about the same shit, right? We come from different ages, different parts of the world. Actually, none of us are even near to each other. Maybe Joe and Zeta, maybe, right? But none of us are actually near to each other. We come from completely different generations. And yet we're sitting here agreeing and discussing, and I agree with what you're saying. If it takes for a little man to get stuck on one word and make a fuss about it, or it takes for a little man to miss the entire point of the entire video,
or an entire concept.
You get lost in things. And I saw that a lot yesterday when I was talking to Ipmore, last night actually, when I was talking to Ipmore and discussing with them, and I was like, you guys are missing the point even within the context of what you're trying to achieve. So that's why I was frustrated. Because I was seeing kind of like loopholes in what they were saying,
Right.
and they themselves were not seeing them.
Yeah, Shiny
Anyway.
talked about that. He says, well, the general public is going to see those loopholes. They're going to see, after they listen to the video, they're going to see that.
Yes.
And it'll probably be discussed at great length this next coming week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and if anyone listening who hasn't watched it, I would very much suggest you pop over to Shining Light's channel and you watch that. There was a lot of good content producers in that hangout. So have a listen. Listen to our concerns about racism. Listen to our concerns about more breaking away from Mgtow and everything, and just see for yourselves and make your own decisions at the end of the day. But for the love of God, do not trigger on something and just fucking stop listening.
What a fucking girly term.
Yeah,
Trigger.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus
better
Christ.
from you,
Give
man.
me give me a fucking break. If you
We need to get a
punch
man
me-
term for that.
If you
Yeah,
punch me in the nose and break my nose, I might feel a little triggered.
Triggered.
But other than that, give me a break. I mean,
That's
come
another
on.
one of those gynocentric
Hey guys,
terms that we get
if I could
filtered.
just interject. Yeah. Sorry, Joe. This session for?
What's that?
How long did you book this session for on YouTube?
We have it for 8 hours
Because it's
from the start.
approaching 2 p.m. Right now.
Yeah, I said.
Okay, so you put any restriction?
I said we'd end it at 2,
Yeah, 'cause
but if
it's
we
gonna-
go on farther, we can.
Okay. Yep. No problem. Just checking on that.
If the guys want to, you want to continue talking live, or we can continue talking off air.
Yep.
Whatever they want. I was going to try to get you in, Zeta, because I have to X out here to put the little dog outside for a second.
Yeah, and
Well,
I
I gotta-
out for work shortly too as well. But-
And I've got a hell of a thunderstorm here, which means that I'm going to be shutting down very quickly
Okay.
because
So we're
the lightning strikes.
And
Well-
I have lots of friends approaching so that we can barbecue and drink beer.
Barbecue.
Yeah.
In other words, it's Sunday, folks.
Mhm.
Is
So,
Someone's
we wanna-
having fun. I'm sorry.
You guys can't hear this thunder? I mean,
Yeah,
Nope.
No, I can't.
no. Goddamn, this microphone is good then, because that's some hellacious noise canceling, and it is all around me.
So you guys want to do a summation, or you want me to summate by myself at the end, or you want?
You do the summation, or you guys do the summation. I was only briefly here.
Okay.
I'm going to book, so I'll talk to you guys later, man.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for showing up, Boris. Thanks for coming in, Nico. We always we love you here, and it's always good to have you here.
Well, I always want to be here. It's not up to me that I have shitty shifts.
Yeah, shitty shifts.
yeah, you and me both.
Yeah, well, and there are women. And there are women.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
okay, go for it, man. Do your summation speech.
Summation speech. I was thinking of the Wally Cleaver summation speech. So, men, what have we learned here today?
So, man, yes. What have we learned?
Yeah, what have we learned here today? We've learned, we can be a little better men. We can learn, we can be a little stronger men, but we always have to be considerate of other men. And being considerate, but still get your point across. Being strong, but leaning to help your brother. And it can all work together very nicely if we all just work together and discuss these things as men. And we don't have to be aggressive. We don't have to be shouting. We can just talk through things, and always consider your health. Always consider your stress. Put yourself first. Take a holiday, and do what's good for yourself, so you can be better for Mgtow and be that 10x Mgtow that we all want to see. That's all I got to say.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
And
yeah, go ahead, Nico.
yeah, that was very nice, man. It was very touching. No, do I need to speak? So next week on Nico's channel, We let me do some advertising. Next week on Niku's channel, we will be hosting Traversable. Are we still good for Monday?
This Monday coming up?
This Monday, tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Yeah, we can do something tomorrow, yeah.
Good. Okay, so we'll discuss about the right times and all that on afterwards, after we close this. So tomorrow we will be chatting with Traversable in my Behind the Mask series. Also, be expecting content on the Mgtow Health series that I've started. Maybe some of you guys can benefit from that. I spoke about insomnia, and then we will cover more issues. And finally, I'll be producing the fap video.
Okay.
which I really need to do, but I need to fap first to do that, and I haven't yet. I need to go buy some stuff just for myself, you know.
That's it.
I need a lot of Kleenex. That's tissue paper for anyone. Yeah, I know. Do you want pictures?
No pictures. Maybe the smile on your face afterwards.
Yeah. It will be from one side of my kind of like jawbone to the other one. It's kind of like that. I miss it so much. Anyway, that's all I had to say, and I think this was a great hangout, even though I missed most of it because I was on a plane flying here.
Okay.
Well, I just want to put in my 2 cents in there. It was, as usual, a really excellent hangout. Like we have excellent turnout, excellent discussions in the chat room there. I think we went up to 24, and we're 22 watching right now. So I'm always giving out those statistics, aren't we?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Joe, if anybody that's joined us here today in the chat room, if you have any suggestions for upcoming topics, just shoot me an email on any of our common threads and let us know. But so far we've got a lot of material to work with. So I just want to thank everybody in the chat room, everybody who's participated on the panel. Another great, successful Hangout podcast.
Yeah, thanks a lot, everybody, for showing up. And I wanted to say, if anybody wants to be in on the panel, just shoot us a message. And if it's too full, it's too full. But we've tried to give everybody a voice. If anybody wants out there to discuss, live on air with the members of this hangout and pretty much the members of Shining's hangout, just shoot us a message, and we'll be there.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay, let's end this broadcast. Thanks a lot, Mgtow.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Nico.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.